Hey, hey, hey! Back again with another chit chat show. Saturday evening chit chat. What can be better than that? I say. Well, it's evening for me anyway. It's 10 p.m. here. I don't know what time it is for you guys, but in any event, it is a Saturday. I'm pretty sure of that. So I have to do a massive shout out to Darwin, who absolutely smashed the super sticker here before we even went live and did a yippee! Woohoo! Can't wait. Love it, Darwin. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for supporting myself and the show. Really, really appreciate it. I really do. Logan's Run, you were in here first, indeed, and you had a bit of an adventure yesterday. I might talk about it later on, but wow, shame that we didn't get to accomplish what we tried. But I tell you what, you put some effort in to try and make it all come to fruition, but it never did. Unfortunately, the weather screwed us over on that. But massive thank you for putting the effort in that you actually did, and I'm glad to know that you managed to retrieve your keys. You know, you had to go. That was an interesting journey as well, from all accounts. But really well done there. Really good attempt, and hopefully do it again as well. So nice to see you in my realm, and Paul Keelan. Nice to see you in. Paul, another one who was with me last night, actually turned up to meet me, and so we had a bit of a chat whilst we waited for the darkness to settle. Except when the darkness settled, so did the rain, unfortunately. But at least we were there, ready to do this. But unfortunately, as I say, the weather got the better of us. Colin Dresser, nice to see you in, my friend. Channel member, all in green. Chris, nice to see you in. Who else do we have in? Ali B, wow, nice to see you in, my friend. And SE, Brian Shuker, Mike Dornan, Gaz Lee, John, I can't spell that, Sajuslik, nice to see you in. Brandon Toy, yo, and Flat Earth Data, nice to see you in. Wow, all the panelists are on, and I've got a panel in Discord ready right now. I'm actually in there ready and waiting. I will get to speaking to you guys though in a minute, so if you want to hop on, jump on in, and I'll unmute you and we can get into it. We can have a bit of a chit chat on this Saturday night. So what else we got? Where is Mark's thesis? Hi, nice to see you in. And yeah, Telex, nice to see you in. Right, okay, so we'll play you a little clip from something that happened a little bit earlier. So let me introduce the person that I'm going to be talking about, because it is, well, what can I say? Okay, so I started listening to Jose's show, and there's this guy called Jesse Kozlowski. Now, I've heard his name bandied around like forever, right? I mean, this guy's some kind of god in the globe side of the argument, and he's always being brought up for this, for that, the other, how great he is, yeah? And I actually received an email from him within the past week asking me to do a discussion with him, you know, privately, to have a chat sort of thing. And to be honest, I've never actually heard him speak or do a presentation, and whilst I was weighing up the times to actually do that, I actually heard him doing this presentation on Jose's today. Now then, he has a channel, so I'll shout his channel out here. So it's Jesse Kozlowski. He has 1,650 subscribers, quite a lot of videos. His last video was just 7 hours ago, so just telling everybody that he's waiting to go on Jose's channel. He's looking excited for this. Anyway, so Jose presents him. He's in the title of the actual the show header, you know, surveying Jesse Kozlowski on angular size, etc. And he also, as I say, he has this website, WordPress site that you can go to, and he has titled it "The Earth's Curvature Plainly Visible." Right, okay, so he's clearly showing you 10 observations during this slide thing that will show you 10 observations that are clearly Earth's curvature, right? And he's titled it as such. And he was presenting this particular image in Jose's, I think it was this particular image, I might be wrong, but I think it was this particular image in Jose's with these crosshairs in. So I'm going to play a little video that I did an outtake on, because I asked a question in the chat to him. Jose relayed it, And then I thought I need to speak to this guy and just ask him a few questions. So it's only a 3-minute video. I've snipped it out so that you can have a little listen to when I challenged Jesse to find out about his knowledge in this regard. So pin your ears back and have a listen.
Ranty says, Ranty Flat Earth is in the chat. Density causes sinking. The denser air causes sinking. Guess what? The densest air is at ground level, #sinking. What do you think about that, Jesse, from Ranty?
Yeah, just show us some measurements of that.
Ranty, go ahead, man. Thank you for joining. And Leal is waiting also.
No worries. Hey, Jesse, how's it going?
Good, Ranty. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Listen, I just got a couple of questions for you. Well, it's a few actually. Firstly, why are we bothering with optics? Because I thought you guys have said already that essentially optics are useless.
I never said that.
Well, the majority of globers turn around and say you can't rely upon optics, you know, because there's that many flat Earth observations that you guys basically just dismiss it now and say that you just can't rely on these. So I'm just inquiring as to why.
Well, if you ask me, I wouldn't say that.
So
let's see where Ranty's going with this.
Okay, so I've got a couple of questions that I would ask that as a flat earther we get asked from the globe earthers. So can you tell me if you measured the air temperature on this particular day?
I just was screenshotting the local weather station.
So, you know, as a flat earther, we get asked these questions. So I just want to clarify a couple of things with you, which is that you didn't physically measure the air temperature. Did you measure the water temperature?
No.
Did you check the humidity on the day?
No.
Did you check any tide heights? Was the tide coming in? Was the tide going out?
No, but I made sure my shoes were tied. What else didn't I check? And ask them to measure the water temperature and the air temperature. Like I said, you can go get that right off of the internet from that weather station, and you can get the height of the water from the tide station. Or, like you said, you want to have them measure it directly, they can do that. Why doesn't someone do that on your side of this argument?
Say, okay, so you're at one side of the lake and you're looking across 20 odd miles to the other side of it, and you have one data set that tells you the temperature. However, I've just gone and looked at the weather currently in Mandeville, which is on one side of the lake, and Metater, which is on the other side of the lake. And we have 25 degrees centigrade on one side, and we have 27 degrees centigrade on the other. So which one should we use when we're trying to use our calculations?
What calculations?
I honestly couldn't believe what I was hearing, guys. I genuinely could not believe what I was listening to. Man, I mean, that's about as bad as it gets. It really is about as bad as it gets. I mean, we have a guy that's put let's have a look, see. So we've got a guy who's got the Earth's curvature plainly visible, who has no idea whatsoever about the variables that actually go into this. I mean, if we're to believe the globers, you know, we've got refraction all the time. Now, I don't disagree with that. I disagree with looming. I disagree with the idea that something can be loomed up from behind Earth curve, and I need demonstrational proof of that. I don't disagree that when we can actually see something, that gets all mixed around. And I do not disagree that we get sinking. I do not disagree with that either. Now then, and I'll tell you, I could go into a lot of detail as to why I can get to that point, but that's my position. Now, if he doesn't understand this and he doesn't know anything about anything, he just takes an image and says this is proof of curvature, it doesn't come any worse than that. And I'm sorry, but if you were some kind of globe earth god out here for years, supposedly this great person on the globe side, and I just came in and with a few questions, I had to leave. It was that I couldn't believe what I honestly expected the guy to come in there and at least be able to hold a conversation down. It was just no, why, no, why? What? Well, if you want to listen to the whole show, I will post the link. So this is to Jose's channel, so I'll copy that and I will put it into the description right now so that you guys can have a listen. And there you go. So if you do feel like you want to go and listen to that entire section that I challenged Jesse on, it was right about the hour, about that time. And if you want to listen to Jesse Kozlowski's entire presentation, I believe it was from the start till that point. So all I'm going to say is that was my interaction with Jesse. I expected more, but that's all I got. So what can I say? Darwin finds it really funny. I found it. I did find it funny now, but at the time I was actually pretty pissed off because I was expecting some kind of proper back and forth with this guy. I mean, this guy was built up to be some kind of genius, and nothing of the sort. Okay, right. Let's see if we've got anybody in the Discord. Here we go. I shall take myself off the mute. On the mute. There we go. Right. Okay. So I'm ready and rocking. So if anyone wants to join the panel right now, heading into general, I'll get a link for that right now and pop it in the chat. So if you want to join, have a chat with me, have a chat with other people too, click the link and you should be brought straight into the show. Happy days. Right, so as you know, yesterday as well, let's go up to my channel this time. So this is Jesse Kozlowski's, I'll put that in a minute. Your channel. So if I go to this video that I put up yesterday, which was for this drone. Now, this is what I find astonishing with this, right? I'm literally just showing you guys how this drone can handle a laser on top of it and some lights, and just to say, look, you know, guess what? The drone that was paid for me with the community, thank you very much, can support the weight of the lights and the things that I want to do these tests with. Now, the Globers, I'm sure, either don't understand or maybe don't understand that in some respects, this laser is either going to validate their claims or not. You know, it's actually going to show the curvature as it goes over this supposed curve from a 90-degree angle. So I don't know why they would dislike the video. However, I mean, let me just play the video through. That's a pretty cool video, actually. Here's me in the garage and just showing you the actual laser. And what we do is, in a minute, we just get to the drone hovering with the laser. It's a pretty awesome thing, actually. I mean, this drone hovers perfectly. No problems with that. Here's my 90,000 lumens flashlight. I've got two of them, so I've basically strapped these together. And again, the drone is able to handle these absolutely no problem. And just think how the tests that we're going to get to do with this, it's just going to be awesome. You know, going higher and lower with it, with the laser and these lights. Somebody filming from the side, we're going to get all that kind of data. And the likes to dislike ratio was tremendous. 25 likes to 11 dislikes. 11 people disliked me showing that the drone could carry something. I mean, how pathetic is that? It's just stupid. It really is pathetic. But I suppose that's what we've got to do with these guys. You know, if they're going to troll, they're going to troll. Even putting a simple video out like this, which I thought was quite exceptional, actually, showing that this little drone could handle this weight, got all those dislikes. But hey, I suppose that's the arena we're in, isn't it? So we are joined by quite a few people. Actually, have hopped on right now. So we're joined by that's Pete Shea. We're joined by Right the Hand. We're joined by the Rumpus, and we're joined by a Zebra. Nice. I don't think I've spoken to a Zebra before. But how is everybody? How is you doing, Pete?
Hey, not too bad, Ranty. How you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I was a bit disappointed with last night. I mean, I've looked forward to doing this test, and I've organised it all for the past week and a half or so, and I actually felt really sorry for Logan's Run, who actually went out there and did all the trekking, because that was the hardest part, getting to Barrow and then climbing over the sand dunes, because it's quite a long walk, only to get there and at the last minute have this torrential rain come down. And then he lost his keys on the beach. Oh, and he had to go back trying to find them this morning. It was it couldn't have been anywhere.
Yeah. Journey for nothing, it seems, but nothing is ever for nothing, right?
That's it. Well, it was an excursion. It was sadly we didn't get the chance to actually accomplish anything, but You know, I had 3 people turn up to meet me. Sorry, 2 people to meet me. That meant 3 of us that were in Blackpool, and Logan's run went to Barrow. So there was at least, you know, there was people there to actually get this off the ground and get something done. But the weather let us down at the last minute. So yeah.
Well, such is life, right? And the power of nature. I wanted to ask you. I mean, from your own ground-based observations, you're certain as certain can be that it's a flat Earth, right? The water just extends all the way beyond sort of reckoning or ability to reckon, anyway. But what would be that's just a question as well, or maybe an assumption. But if not, what would be the main purpose of the drone? What will you be aiming at showing? Because I certainly have a lot of ideas.
Yeah. I'm testing for refraction. You know, a little like the Rumpus puts the laser into the fish tank, and you can see that laser from the side, and you see the bend on the laser as it goes through the gradients.
Okay.
Well, I want to do the same sort of thing, so I'm going to get somebody filming from the side on view, so it's like looking into the fish tank, and let's see what happens with that laser as it goes out to sea. And obviously the drone can go higher and lower, so it will. The beam will be shown at different heights, different altitudes. So you could start off at, let's say, 200 feet, and you may be, depending on the weather conditions, obviously we're looking at a flat plane, be able to get down to as little as maybe 20 or 15 feet. You know, I mean, that would be quite the way at a distance of about 15 miles, something like that. So if we can get that kind of data, great stuff, because we'll see how the light behaves going over a body of water, but from a side-on view. And then I've also got the big lights, the powerful lights that I'm going to strap onto it, and that's just basically going to be an up and down test, firing straight over towards Barrow. So I'm hoping that those lights will be strong enough to be seen from that distance. I'm pretty sure they will be, but on the drone going up and down, I mean, we can measure at what point does the light, well, not just dissipate, but no longer be able to be seen. But so yeah, there's a few things that we're doing with it. So hope that's good.
And I mean, look, there's a lot of stuff you have to sort of extrapolate as well. And one of the things that just came to mind immediately was what were you, 1 foot from the water, and you saw all the way across to Barrow? Is it Barrow on Furness?
That's right. And from the other way as well, from the other way, looking from Barrow back to Blackpool, saying all the way again.
Right.
And
so
at night time, the 2 times at night.
Imagine having the drone down at 1 foot, hovering at 1 foot on a day like that day, right? Calm as anything. And someone at the other side, what is it, 20 miles away, they're going to report that they can see directly the laser, right?
Who's going to say that they can see the laser?
Well, you said, so imagine there was someone all the way across on that day that you saw from a foot high, all the way across to the beach on the other side. Yeah. And they were the observer, right?
Yes.
So that drone, I'm just exaggerating this now, but that drone, if you brought that drone in and you shine across the laser, they're going to be able to see that at the same height you are above the water, right? That has to be indisputable. I mean,
he hasn't done the observation yet, you idiot.
I know that. But that's what I'm saying. We just extrapolate. Hang on, Rumpus. Take it easy, man. I'm having a conversation with
5 minutes. I'd like to make a point. You've been speaking for 5 minutes.
Listen, let me talk, please. I'm having a conversation.
5 minutes.
I'm talking with Ranty. Ranty,
I'll tell you. Hold on. Okay, right. Listen, Rumpus, can you give us? Yeah, let us finish it.
Rumpus, finish the point by saying that you know.
Let me get control, guys. Right, listen. Can you just, Rumpus? Can you just give me 5 minutes talking with Pete, and then I'll bring you back. I'll bring you in. If you've got anything that you want to address, just let me finish this with Pete. Cheers.
You can have 5 minutes with him. Okay, right.
Right, go on, Pete.
Well, thanks a lot. Listen, honest to God, don't get me started. Anyway, the only point I was making, you know, intrinsically, that laser would be seen in a direct line 20 miles across the beach, because you can see visually 20 miles across under the right conditions. So in a greater sense, it's not going to prove anything. We already know the Earth is flat, but when you have this intervening atmosphere, right, and most particularly water, Ranty, and always remember where the sun is and what is going on with the evaporation process, right? These are vital considerations. But Rumpus, and you may come in now, Rumpus will always tell you that visible horizon is a fixed geometric distance away, whereas in actual fact, the amount of atmosphere you're looking through is much denser than that. As you
never
compress
ever
the
said
distance.
that, you moron. I have never ever said that it's a fixed geometric distance away. You are a moron. You've never listened to a word I've said, either because you don't listen or you don't understand. I've always said for years and years and years and years that the horizon is dependent on refraction, and it was Nathan Oakley and people like Ranty who disputed that refraction, and that's why they used to try and mock us with the phrase of it being a hologram, because they didn't take into account refraction.
Let me clarify what you're saying. No, you've just mentioned me. You've just mentioned me.
And I know, but I'd like to finish my point. And they kept on claiming it was a geometric horizon, and we kept on saying it wasn't. And only recently have they discovered they've caught up with what we were saying 5 years ago.
Ranty.
And so it's not the geometric horizon.
So yeah, so let me
please respond to
no, he mentioned me first. Wait, Pete. So he brought me in there, and he said that we denied refraction, right? Yes, we always talk about holograms, but you need to understand that hologram is looming, Rumpus. I don't think we haven't. No. Well, hold on. Let me finish. We haven't denied that things refract. We deny that things loom up. We don't deny sinking. We do not deny. Let me finish. If you're not going to let me finish, Rumpus, come on, give us a second to respond to you. We deny looming, right? We need demonstration that things can be loomed up. We can obviously and clearly see sinking, but you need to show us looming. Now that's really difficult, because when you're trying to when you're looking at sinking, you can see the building and you can see the distortion. What you're trying to do is magic something from behind something else, which we know you cannot provide proof of, right? That's the difference.
Well, okay, Ranty, Rumpus, we were
Well,
around,
let me just shout out, Brendan. I need to shout out Super Chat. One sec.
I'm talking.
So, Brandon Toy.
Shut up.
Okay, right, so Brendan Toy, thank you very much. Let's them two get into this. How convenient that when we finally get a chance to see Ranty's drone, a torrential rainstorm saves him. Very, very convenient, wink, wink. Indeed, Brandon, so it was very convenient for the Globers, though, not for me. It was certainly for the Globers. Right, let's see.
Turn me down, Ranty.
Oh, no, you're not turned down.
Turn me down, Ranty.
No, I was talking to the audience.
Apparently the audience can't hear me, but they can hear Pete very clearly. So you've either
okay. So let me respond to your last point, Rumpus. Let me respond to your last point regarding that you never ever calculated for a geometric horizon.
You've had your chat with Ranty. I left you for 5 minutes, and now it's my turn. I left you for 5 minutes,
and every image that came up showing anomalies on the horizon,
I left you for 5 minutes, it's now my turn.
Rumpus needed 2 pieces of information. You already made a statement. Stop talking. You control this guy.
Bro, this guy, he's pulling. He's broken. Somebody's got to stop him. He's stuck on.
You made a statement, and I'm clarifying.
He's stuck. You gotta pull the thing out of his ass. He's stuck.
I was talking with somebody before the debate began,
listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. Listen to yourself, Rumpus. Rumpus, listen to yourself.
You made a claim that you never, ever said that what you were calculating was the geometric horizon. You always took refraction into
If you just turn Rumpus down on your own, just turn him down.
This guy is.
It's now my turn, Pete. You've had 5 minutes.
Bro, look.
This is so funny. It's a good job this is a chit chat show and not the structured format that I want to get into, because tonight is basically, as I say, a chit chat show, and I don't want it to turn into a shit chat show, but here we go. Let's bring Rumpus back.
And I let you say something to begin with. I want to respond.
I would like a turn with Ranty. You've had 5 to 10 minutes to be quiet.
Okay.
You respond. Be quiet, you twat. I shut up for you. I let you speak without interruption. And now I would like to say something.
Okay, right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Pete, you're an utter wanker. You can't behave like an adult. You've no idea how to conduct yourself in a conversation. There's no need to call names. No. Makes a point of interrupting because he has nothing to say and he wants to sabotage other people making a point.
Right, get on with it.
Wanker.
Get on with it. What is it you want?
I must admit, I've half forgotten now. Right, the point is, right, for a start, okay, I do remember now. Right, we were telling you about refraction. You denied it, along with Nathan Oakley, for years and years and years, and called it holograms, etc., etc. And we can demonstrate looming to you. I've shown you a number of occasions the images that Soundly has shown of the Marriott Hotel rising. Also, George recently has done a number of observations in his lake where he's shown that the horizon and objects are looming up. It also changes not just all the objects, but the relative positions. You can see more of some of the distant objects than you could previously. So we can demonstrate looming all over the shop. And
no,
also the images of the black swan image is a demonstration of looming in action. There we can see more of the thing of the oil platform than we could before. So you're seeing all these demonstrations of it, but you don't like it. What you like to do is to then say, oh well, the fully loomed image is the real one, and the rest of it's sinking. Oh no, it is not. That does not correlate with the physics. That is incorrect. So what was the other point? Your lasers. So you do have an interesting, except you do have some interesting observations going over the Barrow. So I must admit, I have never got round to modelling them, but you have demonstrated that you have got more refraction than standard refraction. But the reason you were having a go at Jesse Kozlowski earlier, what the heck? You were having a go at Jesse Kozlowski earlier, and he uses standard refraction most of the time, and that is usually the experience that the surveyors have got. That's the normal experience, standard refraction. So when he meets, if he was to meet the situation with the black swan situation, he would then not bother to be using that day, and he doesn't also take observations from just a few feet off the water, which is what MSBL 69 did. He wouldn't do that because he knows those are prone to more problems. So, and Jesse Kozlowski doesn't have. Also, there's a way you don't have to know the temperature if you do something that surveyors do, which is called a reciprocal zenith measurement. You can actually work out what the refraction is on the day. You don't actually need to make any temperature measurements. If you have two theodolites, you can actually work out there and then what the refraction conditions are empirically. You don't have to go away and do any calculations at all. You can actually measure the refraction using two theodolites, which I think is the situation that he had there. So you don't need to go to do the temperature measurements that you were sort of appalled at.
Okay, can you see my screen right now? If you look in the general chat. General.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay.
Okay. So I was given this video to look at by.
Oh, it's not coming up. Hold on, Ranty. I'm not. It's appearing for some reason. Try again. Hold on. Try again. Oh, it's coming up with a little no entry sign over the watching stream. No, it's not.
Is this the only place you get to talk anymore, Rumpus? You're
a little wanker, aren't you, Pete? You like to sabotage other people's points, even though you'd had 5 to 10 minutes of uninterrupted time with Ranty.
I've had it.
You would
show your face, you little shithead.
No, you see, you're trying to deflect, aren't you? You get 5 to 10 minutes chat right.
No, I let you respond,
and then immediately someone else tries to talk.
Now.
You think you're having.
Right. Well, before you get into this, before you get into this, guys, right? Before you get into this,
I'm sorry, Ranty, I can't see your stream. It's showing there's a no entry sign on your thing.
Well, that's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Because I'm just going to crush your dreams right now.
You've never done so before. You're not going to.
Well, I was given this video by was it?
Well, shall I look on YouTube? Is it on YouTube?
Sly Sparkane, I think it was. I think it was Sly Sparkane.
Can you reshare it?
Or Sean Hufford. No, Sean Hufford gave me this.
Okay, Ranty, how about resharing it so they can have another stab at it?
Right. Okay.
Because it's silly if you're showing something and you want me to comment on it and I can't see it.
Right. Okay, so try that.
No, it's not having it. Shall I?
Can anybody else see this? What I'm presenting right now?
No, it looks like black on mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even got twirly things.
That screen's better.
That's a bit of a shame. What happens if I click turn on camera? That's for camera, isn't it? That's no good. So nobody can see this. That's a bit of a bummer, isn't it? Maybe you could watch it on the watch page then.
Before, so you must be able to get to work again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. There's something on YouTube. I think there's a image of Chicago coming up.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's happening on YouTube.
Well, of course it is. I'm saying that it should be showing on the Discord too.
Well, there's nothing of course about anything.
Well,
no, it's not that.
So you can't see this, right? Well, that's a bit of a shame. But
none of us in Discord can see it.
But there is a line. There's two lines. There's one that's the what you would think is the horizon, and there is another line above that, which you would. Well, what do you think? Where's that other line? Why have I put another line in there for, Rumpus?
I've no idea why you put another line in there, Ranty.
Well, why do you think I would put another line in there?
Well, you're very stupid. You do all sorts of stupid things. Why on earth should I predict what stupid things are doing now?
Maybe one is an illusory horizon, Rumpus.
Well,
Can't see it, by the way.
He's just drawn a line. It's so what?
So I've got two lines. I have two lines.
You have indeed got two lines on there. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
Two horizons.
And we have.
I'm not going to guess the stupid reason you've caused you to draw the other line. I
can't see the image.
I mean, it seems to be the only thing I can see is it seems to be drawn across the two tallest buildings. I mean, it's the only thing it seems to be.
Yeah. So how tall? Do you know how tall those buildings are? I mean, in Chicago.
I used to know the height of the oh God, what's it called now? I used to do I did quite a large document on it actually. The Chicago whatever it's
pretty high. Pretty high, isn't it?
Yeah, it's third high. It's the third highest building in the USA, I think.
Okay. So basically, it's only a short clip, and it's a shame that you can't see it. You might have to wait for 30 seconds to see it on the YouTube.
So I'm watching it on YouTube.
So I'm going to play it for the audience.
It's on Discord now. Okay.
So I'm going to play it for the audience. Oh, is it on Discord now? That's cool.
Oh, it's on Discord.
Just came up now. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay, that's good. Can you see it now?
You're not playing anything at the moment.
Yeah, no, but can you see it?
Yes, I can see a player. Yes, I can see by Joshua Nowicki. Yes.
Right, okay, so here we go. So I'm going to start from the start of the video. 2 lines are in. There we go. Okay. And what do you think is going to happen? Why do you think I've put the second line in? We're going back in time here. We're going back to the warmer daytime conditions. So it's going to come to dusk.
It's just a reference line, and this is demonstrating looming.
It's demonstrating what? Sorry, what?
Looming.
It's
demonstrating looming.
What's it?
Hold on. It's
What?
demonstrating looming.
The fucking nutter off.
Yeah, Rumpus. There is nothing visible anymore of that town. It's all gone. In fact, the only thdo that's visible is the very, very tippy toppy of that particular building. The very tippy top of that building there.
It's all black now. I don't know if that's what you're trying to show us.
What do you mean? It's
gone black. I don't know what you're
Well, it's not gone black, but it's.
It was black just now. It's black now.
Yeah.
There's nothing to see now.
What a shame. What about now?
We can see it now. We can see now, yes.
There you go. So, here we go. Watch again. Tippy toppy of that building stays visible the whole way. It stays visible the whole way. Now, as you can see, the original.
It's gone black.
Oh my goodness me.
Look, you sort it out. It's your problem, not mine. Jesus Christ.
Can you guys not see this?
No, we can't. Oh, so we can see it now. I think it's when you stop it stops showing. When you play it.
Oh, right, okay. So let me just play it, right? Okay, so I'm going to play the video and let it run through, and you see this horizon go right up and hide all of those buildings with that top of that tower just staying in the same position. The rest of it all gets hidden behind that perceived horizon. Ready?
Yeah,
I was right even before I saw it.
Yep. So, watch it. Here we go. It's creeping up.
Moving up.
Watch.
Moving up.
Yeah. Boom, and all disappeared behind that. Now, the problem for you, Rumpus, is that the end part of that video was at the start. Was at the dusk. And this at the start of the video is nighttime. Now, nighttime, when everything is very settled and you have much more settled weather conditions, the temperature is much more settled across that entire bay. You don't get that effect. You can see from shore to shore.
You have maximum refraction effect.
Oh, are you going to tell me when it's all settled?
What time of day?
Are you going to tell me when it's all settled?
I'm asking you a question, and you can answer. You can choose not to answer it. When do you think the maximum refraction effect occurs for during a time of day?
During the heat of the day, I would say, probably.
Incorrect. I can show you a paper in which it's monitored the refraction levels using this zenith thing I was telling you about, the zenith in the reciprocal measurement, where they measured these German people went out with 2 theodolites and they measured the refraction conditions. And this is also the same thing that George found when he was doing measurements on his lake. the max. It sounds a bit odd.
Right, okay. Well, listen, it's all just bollocks. Listen, all I'm listening to is bollocks.
Can I just finish the sentence?
Well, you better be quick. Get it quick.
Finish the goddamn sentence.
Yeah, be quick though.
It's counterintuitive, I know, but nonetheless, it seems as though the maximum refraction effect, the maximum amount of looming, occurs in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's counterintuitive, and this is what George found, this is what this paper shows, and I can show it. If you want to deny a scientific paper on this very subject, well, you can, but then you deny lots of science.
Okay.
Are we seeing the top of those towers directly, Ron?
Yes, exactly. Well, this is my point. The whole point is that this tower, this top tower here, barely moves from that top line.
Right.
Barely moves.
It doesn't distort.
Barely moves, right? The only thing that changes is the perceived horizon, and it blocks everything out. So at nighttime, it removes this effect. This effect that we're seeing that's creeping up over all these buildings now, this effect that we see with this inferior mirage that pops in, that is what causes the blockage during the daytime. That's why when you do your observation, yes it is. And then at night time, when everything settles down, I've been over to Barrow. The 2 times I've been over and filmed Blackpool, we've seen shore to shore over 18, 19 miles, right? Shore to shore. The same with this. At night time, you see shore to shore. During the day, you get the blockage. And you're going to tell me that it's jammed down to maximum refraction at night time? Bullshit.
And more so, the mirroring is caused by the water.
Exactly
what I just told you.
No, it doesn't.
Listen again. It does. Just try listening and try and understand. The maximum refraction effects occur in the evening, and that's what you're showing me here. In the evening, you just said that you can see Chicago and the buildings in the evening, but you can't during the day. And that exactly matches what I told you this paper gives. And also the account that George found when he was measuring refraction. He was going out every hour, monitoring the other side of the lake, and he would see, because he was using an auto level, he could see how much was being raised up. And he could see that in the evening, things were raised up more than they were during the day, even though that is counterintuitive.
So how far away is the horizon, Rumpus?
For what? In the example that
yes, I mean we see it and it varies, but does it vary if you roughly calculate the horizon at that specific height at a fixed distance? Does it vary in terms of meters, or does it vary in terms of, I can't say, it can't be miles, right? Because generally,
right, I'll explain to you. You can see further when there is more refraction, and you can see less far when there's less refraction.
But how far away is the horizon?
Let me just finish my sentence, please. So when there's more refraction, your horizon is actually further away. As in the black swan image, the horizon's much further away because there's so much refraction. Go ahead.
But hang on, come on, man. But if the horizon should be, like you took the Black Swan instance and Wide Awake's channel in 2016, many black swans. It's irrelevant at this stage. But the point is, Rumpus, you're saying that according to the official math, an horizon that should be at 1 mile can be refracted to 10 miles.
Correct.
When you take the horizon as a literal thing, which brings me nicely back to my point about you came on very heartfelt, right, and very upset about what I was saying. But Ranty and maybe the audience don't realize. Let me finish, Rumpus. Let me finish, please. Okay, Ranty and the audience don't realize that you and me are at this since 2016, and you telling me, right, that you wanted to know 2 things, which was the observer height. So any image that was presented, right, and you see a boat half disappeared or something, or floating, or a looming effect, you needed to know 2 things, which was the observer height, the way to calculate exactly the geometric horizon. Is that correct? And then beyond that horizon, everything had to be explained. Is that not correct, Rumpus?
That's correct. With standard refraction, you can put in some standard values for what will happen, the 7/6R, and then
right.
You can say, oh, can I finish my sentence? And then you end up with what would be a typical result. Now that is for typical conditions. Those 2 conditions do not always exist. And what I suspect that Ranty has with his Baron Furness stuff, as I told him about a year ago, he has a cold water. He tends to do this in the the most examples that Ranty gave of his Baron Furness example were when it was in the spring, and then you have cold water and warm air, and those are the ideal conditions for maximum refraction.
Absolute bullshit. Hold on. Pete, no, that's just bullshit. And the 2 times I went were for the Blackpool switch on illuminations, Rumpus. Do you know what month they happen?
Oh, the black one, I don't know about the Blackpool one. I'm talking about the Baron Furness.
Do you know when the Blackpool illuminations get switched on in Blackpool?
I haven't. I'm not familiar
with
Well,
you just said it was April.
No, I didn't. I talked about your Baron Furness observation.
The 2 times. The 2 times.
What I'm saying, I talked about your Baron
I know what you said.
Observation.
I know what you said, Rumpus.
Blackpool one. Jesus Christ.
Blackpool switch on.
Look. Let me just say, Rumpus.
I talk about Baron Finesse, and then you start talking about Blackpool.
Okay, well, let's hang on, please. The reason we went on to that, Rumpus. Let's just take one of the scenarios.
End of August, Rumpus. Early September. Oh,
sure
that's a bit of an issue for you.
But I talked to you about the Baron Finesse. That's the one we talked about.
So when I went to Barrow in Furness and filmed shore to shore. All right. So what about when I went to Barrow in Furness and saw shore to shore at night time from Barrow at the end of August, early September, 2 years running? Seen shore to shore. Okay, what was the temperatures then? Were they for the most refraction? Were they for the most refraction?
Well, you could have.
Were they for the most refraction Rumpus in that time?
You have that evening, Ranty.
I bet you they appear to be clear.
End of August, early September.
Citations for that is when most refraction occurs in the early evening. So I've got citations for this, Ranty. There's no point laughing at it.
Well, listen, he had the direct experience, and I bet you anything, Ranty, you'll testify that the night was calm as anything. You could see as far as anything, right?
That's when you have maximum refraction, when it's calm.
Right, so that's when you can least trust, reality. We understand. But let me just get back to briefly, Rumpus, where you diverted away from. So forget about any floating or super looming or whatever. If we're talking about a boat half disappearing, right, you always told me that the boat was disappearing beyond the horizon, and the horizon was at a fixed distance because you calculated it via the observer height. Is that correct or not?
And using refraction to determine the apparent horizon.
No, you never used refraction to determine that. That was not one of the factors you looked for.
We always used the apparent horizon. We always allowed for refraction. In the Earth curve calculators, when you saw...
You're a dirty, rotten, filthy liar, man, and you should not be tolerated.
You should go and look back, and you'll see, for instance, the Isle of Man stuff. We went on and on and on and
that was
on
2 years after
refraction, causing you to see the lighthouse that you shouldn't be able to see if it was just purely geometric.
I'm going back 2 years before that, when the Flat Earth Debate Channel, and you were on fucking Quantum Eraser's channel tonight debating him in 2016. Both of you have the same fucking spiel as you had back then when you entered the arena.
Yeah, he's still an idiot.
You fucking fake agents.
He's still an idiot. Yes, we know that. He hasn't learned anything. He's
yeah.
But anyway, the point is, you have to use the 7/6. When I did the calculations of the Isle of Man stuff initially, before I did the clever stuff with Phil, the physics guy, on this channel, we used the 7/6R always as the means in the Earth curve calculator, the Midwest one. We always use the 7/6R refraction option because refraction occurs.
Right.
That's what we always
for
did.
difficult cases. When you're talking about obvious cases, hang on, Rumpus. When you're talking about obvious cases, when a boat is half disappeared, you calculated the geometric horizon and you said that this much is expected. Let me say what I have to say without getting excited. Please.
No, we didn't.
You listen, right? When I finish, then you can comment on it.
Massive shout out to Wind Rider here for super smashing the super chat here with a massive $20 super chat. Thank you. I can't get enough of this entertainment in America and laugh it out loud. Believe you me, he's making me laugh out loud as well. Thank you for supporting the show, Wind Rider Race. Thank you.
It was the drop beneath the curvature, right, Rumpus?
And then use the refraction 7/6.
You didn't need it.
We
didn't need it.
We
you had the
always
curvature.
used it. We always used that refraction condition. Because there's no point in using the other condition, because we've got an atmosphere. Why would we use the non-atmosphere case? Why would we use the non-atmospheric case?
Right. Well, listen. You forget about that. So that's your
forget about that. Just showing you to be an idiot. Yeah,
no, it's not right. Because listen, if you're talking about a distance over 10 miles or something like that, how the fuck are you going to know the conditions between you and the target you are looking at? But first of all, let me just say this. You have done away with the extended span of water. This is why you must deny Ranty saw with his own eyes across the water, because it's too far. There should have been curvature. Right now you have to invoke all manner of magic for us to believe that the best of viewing conditions are the worst of viewing conditions.
I don't know what you mean by extended water, whatever you said just now.
Extended water. At sea level, over when Ranty was down at, let's talk about Ranty for a second, over Barrow and Furness. When he's down at 1 foot, right, the horizon should be, according to the geometry, let's just say a mile, right? And beyond that, everything should be curving. Excuse me, Rumpus. Beyond that, everything should be curving away. Is that correct?
Well, that's for the geometric case, but we don't care about that case.
Yeah, but if it's calm, if the water is calm and conditions are ideal.
In the ideal calm case, you've got refraction still. I mean, you're as bad Sly who seem to...
Right, but hang on.
Always.
You have refraction.
Always have refraction in the atmosphere, because the air at the ground level is denser than that above it. It doesn't matter if it's a stormy day, a snow, bloody sunny, whatever. You always have denser air at the bottom, so you always have refraction.
You always have evaporation over water as well, don't you?
That's irrelevant. It's insignificant in comparison.
Hang on, this is what you're looking through, you fucking idiot.
It's irrelevant. It doesn't
evaporation
make any difference.
Is water vapor, right?
It doesn't make any difference.
Very thin mist.
It doesn't make any difference. What matters
you're putting down all of these effects of refraction.
What matters is the denser
and refraction
air near
is going to
the
do with the
ground.
atmospheric
The
condition.
water vapor is irrelevant.
How is it?
It doesn't matter.
You just put it down, and all these anomalies, which are not anomalies at all, down to refraction, which are effects from looking through an atmosphere. Well, what's the atmosphere composed of?
If you have water vapor,
the atmosphere composed of when you're 1 foot above the water. All of you're looking across 18 miles. It's going to be composed of water,
right? 2%. 2% is irrelevant.
It doesn't lift up the mountains, Rumpus.
It's invisible air, then, Rumpus, right?
I missed that phrase. Sorry, you've got.
Okay, it's not water, so it's invisible air. It's nitrogen, neutral nitrogen in the air.
And oxygen, yeah, that's what matters. The water.
So they're causing all of the fuck ups. That did not.
Yes,
nitrogen.
The normal constituency of the air, the nitrogen and the oxygen, being compressed because it's dense or being denser near the ground level, is what causes the refraction.
But I can't see the air
with water vapor.
I can't see the air. I can see water, and if you're telling me that I'm looking over 20 miles, but I'm not really, down at 1 foot above the water, and there's evaporation going on, that air is going to be saturated with water vapor, right?
2% is irrelevant.
And then you see a rainbow.
2% in general. 2% in general. But when you're 1 foot above the water and you have an evaporation process continually going on, it's going to be super saturated.
It's an insignificant effect.
See how ridiculous this is? Even on his own game, he's beaten.
So, Pete, do you know the formulas for the refraction of air? Would you please tell me if you do or not?
The refraction
no,
index.
You don't, do you? Well,
so hang on. So you asked me a question, and I just want you to clarify. Are you talking about the refractive index of air versus?
Equation, which
are you talking about?
Hold on. Which
Ranty, this guy shouldn't be given this freedom. Honestly, he shouldn't be now. This is the only place he's left to talk like this anymore.
The index of refraction of air and the water contribution is insignificant. You don't know anything about refraction.
Right.
I do. You're a moron. You're a science-nut and an ignorant. You do not know.
You shouldn't be allowed to talk like this. But I was clarifying. Are you actually asking me about the refractive index of air versus something like water, for instance? So when I put a pencil in a glass of water, Rumpus, and it seems to bend, right, or almost break, right, when I'm looking through, because there's a certain amount of water in the glass, right, now when I'm looking through the atmosphere that's saturated in water and I'm looking over an extended distance, how much water in its vapor form would create the same effect, or would be needed to create the same effect? I think you could work that out mathematically, surely, couldn't you?
Irrelevant. The water vapor does not
all irrelevant. The water is always irrelevant.
The water vapor does not make a significant.
My friends out there, we actually get to see via the water vapor in the air. This is what the sun comes along and scintillates and agitates. That's how our eyesight works.
You think because if you stick a pencil in a glass of water and it bends a lot, you therefore think water is the cause of the refraction in the air. No, there's only 2% or something of water vapor in the air. The dominant effect is by the density of the oxygen and the nitrogen.
Pete, and 1 cubic foot of air that has 100% humidity, how much water is in it?
Well, that's a different matter. If you're asking me what the current science is, hang on, please. If you're asking, I'll ask you to do one thing for me. I'll ask you to do, whoever asked that question, stand up and imagine a cube, right? A meter cube surrounding you. Now, you try to separate the water from the fucking air. Do your very best to do that, man.
Yeah, I get a dehumidifier. What about it?
You get a dehumidifier.
Hang on. Then why do they show us light bending in water when they show us this bending light? They never show it to us through air. They show it to us through water.
I'll tell you why, Paige. Because all we're talking about is different differences in density layers. And with water, it's a lot easier to demonstrate. Okay, you're going to talk over me?
I lost. Remember, it's sugar solution. It's not water.
With water, vapor, and temperature. Don't forget, Carlos.
Even
don't forget
worse
temperature.
No, I'll explain. Can I just...
I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was a Nathan Buckley show. My bad.
So, Carlos, can I just butt in for a second? Can I just butt in?
Yeah, you didn't realize you're a hypocrite as well, Carlos. You heard me talking, and yet you talk to me again.
Sorry, I hope that wasn't. Oh, Carl, I hope I didn't interrupt them.
I got a hot mic. I want to mute real quick. I have a hot mic.
Okay, right. Listen.
I just want to know, Rumpus.
Don't talk over one another.
If clouds are evaporation, can you see through a cloud?
Just a minute.
Can you see through a cloud?
Can I just for 5 seconds, Paige, the reason you're shown the refraction and bending of light in water is because it's not pure water. It's got a sugar solution, and there's a much more concentrated sugar at the bottom of the tank than there is at the top, and that's why it's very easy to use in water. It's not the water that's doing that; it's the sugar. Go ahead.
Maybe sugar makes it bend.
Hang on, please. When the salt water evaporates from the ocean, Rumpus, first of all, what is the influencing factor? And second of all, what percentage of fresh water evaporates? Excuse me, please. I'm finished my question now. What percentage of fresh water is evaporated? Or what percentage salt might be evaporated as well?
It's not. Salt does not evaporate.
So how the water, the sun's power is enough to disassociate the water and the salt?
Yes.
Completely?
Yes.
Absolutely, completely.
Yes.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Oh, Rumpus, that sounds so awful.
Here we go. Shall I explain? If you're in a desert, one of the ways of removing salty water, just getting it out to drink, is to put salty water inside a thing that's collecting sunlight and collect the distilled water that comes off. And that distilled water is perfectly fresh and does not have salt in it.
But this process is happening on a continuous basis, right? Evaporation process. Now, there's no. When I go into the ocean, Rumpus, it's fucking cold, right? Now, when I want to turn water into steam, I have to get hot. I have to get hot. That's the only sort of way I can equate it. So there's something different going on originally. But you're talking about contaminants in the air. There could be, for all you know, salt. And let me ask you, whoever asked that question about clouds, Rumpus, are clouds water? How do clouds and water formulate in the air in the form that we see the clouds? Because water will always find the path of least resistance, right? Whether it's in its vapor form or when it's in its liquid form.
Path of least resistance. I don't know what the hell you mean by that.
So in other words, it will not take any form. It will free flow. If you throw water on a completely level and flat ground, it will level out up to about 2 millimeters. I say we can all equate that. Spill your cup of tea on your table and watch it flatten out.
If you're trying to say that water becomes level when you pour it on the ground, then indeed it does.
Right. So that's the path of least resistance. And there's no resistance.
No one in science would ever use such a stupid phrase.
No one in science has ever talked about my mirrored water layer or about Aristarchus the way I do as well. Or the dodo bird, right? Or Will Smith being Barack Obama.
Of course they wouldn't, because that's a delusional. You're sick in the head. That's why. No one
I am, surely. That. And your name is the Rumpus. I've never seen your face, nor do I know your real name. You're banned from all of your own channel friends, places, hangouts, because everyone thinks you're a nutter. And here you are with free reign to talk over everyone and lie to everyone.
Can I ask you a question?
You certainly can.
About the salt water thing. If the 2% in the air is irrelevant, why can't you show us this bending light in a fish tank of air?
Right, I did explain before. Okay, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I've only just joined. Sorry, dog.
I'll explain again. Okay, I'll explain again. In the examples that I've shown in my various things on my document, and other people have shown, like Mick West, with these lasers going through water and bending, what they've done is to put a lot of sugar in them, and the sugar is occupies the bottom of the tank at a greater density than it does at the top, and it's the sugar that's causing it to.
But could you do that with sulfur fluorohexide, or something? Do it with different gases rather than.
Before that, does it work with salt? If you use salt instead of sugar.
That's interesting.
I'm just trying to think of a way.
Well, maybe the sugar. Maybe sugar makes. Maybe sugar makes the light bend.
Yeah,
how do we know?
Maybe, but
maybe it's sugar.
Hang on right there.
Hold on right now. We'll get back to you in a second on that one. Paige, yes,
I'm trying to get rid of the water first.
Yeah, that's very good. No, that's a good point. But indeed you would get some similar effect, but I don't think it'd be quite as dramatic as the concentration of sugar, because the density at the bottom of the tank with sugar is, I don't know.
Well, doesn't that show that water's having a bigger effect then? Wouldn't that be what you would think?
Right.
If it has less of an effect.
Well, no, yeah, but there's only a small amount of water vapor in the air. 2%.
But Rumpus, when you
Wouldn't it be the sugar, though?
you fill a glass up, hang on, when you fill a glass up with water and you've got something behind it, not in it, I'm not talking about the pencil in the water, I'm talking about something behind a piece of paper or something, it can reverse the image.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, water has a massive effect, is all I'm saying. I can't understand how you can say 2% water is irrelevant. That's all.
Because there is very, very little water vapor in the air.
But sometimes there's heaps.
No, there isn't.
Yeah.
Rumpus, you're only looking at water vapor from a single point of
Jeez.
view. If you look through the air,
you made a good
Rumpus,
point.
if you look through the air, that 2%
hold on, let me just...
Rumpus, I don't need you to tell me I made a good point, mate. Okay, like, please don't be condescending to me.
Well, I think it was a good point to try and use...
Yeah, I don't like being the teacher's pet, okay? So don't worry about telling me I've made a good point.
Yeah, she might block it.
Right the Hand made a point. Right the Hand made a comment about a minute ago, asking about whether you could use made of salt instead of sugar. And indeed, you can do it with salt as well as sugar, but it doesn't work quite as well because sugar is a more massive molecule than salt.
Okay, hold on.
No, it's
dextrorotationary
is why.
Maybe then. Okay, so maybe then we have to say that sugar gives X effect, salt gives Y effect, and then you can't say that because there's no sugar or salt floating around in the air, so you don't have that. Wait. Let me just finish this. Correct. So Rumpus, the effect you're trying to establish that happens in the air, you can't. You can only establish that effect with sugar and salt.
In that medium, with sugar.
Yeah, in water. Yeah. So everything
they're trying to say that happens in the atmosphere.
Yeah, so how do we know this happens in the atmosphere?
Okay, so I've just lowered them down just a tad because I need to do a couple of shout-outs here. So Kangoo24 says, I find it amazing you guys are arguing the little details about refraction when there are real-time images from space of the globe. Amazing. Well, we kind of disagree with that. And Kangoo24 says, I have realised both sides just enjoy the perpetual nonsense argument. You could prove the shape of the Earth for yourself in a single weekend for about $300. Well, I guess that would be no fun. Okay.
Why hasn't he done it then?
You could prove the shape of the Earth for yourself in a single weekend for $300. Fill us in. Tell us more, Kangoo.
Anyone who's ever been to the seaside knows there's salt in the air. We have us over the ocean, salt all the way down. Presumably the salt at the bottom of the ocean is more dense. The salt content in the water is more dense than at the top, Rumpus. But as we come up and away from the ocean,
Pete,
it surely thins out, right?
Oh my God, you've just made me think of something. Every time you go to the beach, when the spray comes up, you can taste the salt.
Yes, of course you can.
Paige, that's because the salt in the water.
Yeah, in the water. Yes.
God, yes,
I understand. Don't yell at me.
God.
Fuck.
All right, I'm sorry.
My God.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I've woken up with a rotten headache, and oh my God.
Yeah, sorry, Karen.
So maybe Rumpus can draw some kind of analogy with the salt through. Well, no, he's using sugar, isn't he? Okay. No. Yeah, I was just trying to...
Oh, my God.
It's a better analogy for reality.
Can I talk about the density? People were asking earlier, how can this happen in air then? And the point is that we know that when air is denser, we know its index of refraction increases because, in fact, what causes things to have a greater index of refraction is their density. So if you
what do you mean when it's denser?
I can't separate the water from the air.
Fuck!
Finish my goddamn sentence.
Oh,
you have to be heard, right?
My headphones
is this a real person?
Like that?
I wonder why it's called the Rumpus.
Jesus.
Okay, listen, I've had to serve him mute for a time being because it's just ridiculous. I mean, there's no need to scream like that.
Oh, that really hurt. God.
You know, if he can't come in and just talk without getting so heated and upset with himself, you know.
Yeah.
He doesn't like being interrupted. He must be heard.
I was even trying to give him a way to find an analogy between, but then I realised it was sugar water that they use, not salt water, so it didn't even work. We're not arguing about the fact that there's refraction. We're arguing about what they show happening in sugar water might not be exactly what's happening in the atmosphere, because it's a different thing.
Well, and he actually, just to catch him out as well, and I think there's something different going on, but just to catch him out, he talks about this gradient, right, where at closer to the surface, the air is a cooler temperature and has a different index of refraction, right? So, yeah, I mean, he's ridiculous, but the conversation is good, but he's just ridiculous. That's why he's called the Rumpus. But look, when it comes to evaporation,
that's why I wanted to ask him what he meant.
Yeah.
What did he mean by like the density of the water? Like maybe, so when I think of the density, I'm just thinking there's more particulates in that water.
Stuff.
So the picture like Plinko, if you've ever seen that game in Price is Right, how the thing is like a board with all these little pegs in it. They drop the thing and it goes on a random pattern to the floor.
Yep.
When you got all these particulates in the air, light is going to be doing this, or how you see is going to be moving in that pattern too.
Right, and well, when he talked about that, what the fuck is fog to him? And again, it's ridiculous for me now to think that clouds are just water, but he has to say that they're just water, right?
Never a lot of water in the air. It's like, you're fucking kidding me, Rumpus. You're literally walking through a cloud when you've got fog and mist and shit.
Well, here's something interesting.
Cloud?
Well, here's something interesting that I learned from Jessica Kozlowski about the only interesting thing that he actually said. And that was that, you know, if you had a temperature of 17 on one side and 15 on the other for over a distance of 20 miles, that there was himself and somebody else there that do these calculations, and they worked out that it would just be about a meter or so of refraction over that sort of distance. Now that tells me that temperature plays a very little part in what actually happens to light. However, if you actually research it, it is density that makes the biggest difference in the trajectory of light. Density. Now, where's the densest part of the atmosphere? It's at sea level. And everything goes in a gradient higher up. So everything has to be sinking. The light sinks, always. Yeah. So they're turning around and asking us the temperature has been leading us on a wild goose chase for many years, because we've always needed to know the temperature, but it's not. Now, they can argue that the temperature has very little now to do with what actually happens to it. We now know that it's the pressure, sorry, not the pressure, the density has the effect.
I think the hand hit it on the head. It's like that Plinko game. The light goes bing, 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 bing.
Don't forget, Paige, that's only half the story, and we mustn't forget the other half of the story. This is vital. It's like looking at the sky and forgetting about the floor. What's been given back to us now is the extended span. Rumpus said, leave him back in if he behaves himself. You have to give him some stipulations before he comes in here and starts upsetting everybody. Ranty. Otherwise, he'll just continue to do. He was on fucking Quantum Eraser's channel, whereas I mentioned earlier on, the two of them were debating all the same stuff that they're doing now, actually. The two of them are on repeat since they came in today. So he's already been heard by loads of people. But if he's more reasonable, you can give him a little bit of rope, I think. But here's my point. He will come in, hell or high water. He must have his geometric or thereabout horizon, calculable with a little variation according to refraction with the curve calculator, right, which is adherence to spherical geometric ball Earth of a certain radius. He must have that. What's given back to us is half of the floor. Now that extended span has been given back to us, and we have to consider what it is. If it's over water, then we have to understand that and take into account what's happening there, most certainly, as opposed to just the air.
I want to say one thing to back Pete up. If you Google any proofs we know the Earth is a ball, number effing one is usually you see boats go over the curve. They're not sitting there and say the refractive index decreases the lumen. No, they don't say that bullshit. So even in the main, like the face value, we're deeper in. Like even at face value, people still think, your average layperson, that's the curve right there. Yeah, I see the boat.
This is why none of this shit is difficult, you see, but it goes so much against the grain that it's revolutionary in a sense.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, right?
The truth isn't always known, though. Let's not fool ourselves.
Watch this screen, guys. So this is, hopefully this is the right one. So Windows Media Player. For some reason, it doesn't seem to be showing there, but we'll try it. See if you can see this now when I've gone live. This is that video that I was showing Rumpus before with the skyline, Joshua Nowicki, the skyline. Now, if Rumpus is going to claim that you need a horizon that you can measure, in this particular image, for instance, you cannot measure where that horizon is, because this is the daytime area, which is really, really high up, and the nighttime is very low, that shows all the buildings behind it. Now, the building doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the perceived horizon change, and it's the perceived horizon that blocks everything out. And you can never measure to it for a start. But he's going to argue that at night time, when you see these shorter shore observations, this is when the strongest refraction is. But this is this top line is showing you that the top building never changed its relative position. And you can apply that to the same thing with mountains in the distance. Now, on my observations of the mountains and Barrow in Furness, we don't see that that change. It doesn't change its position. And the only thing that's being jumbled in any of these images is the things really low down. But once you get to a sweet spot, like on this particular building here, we know that that building has not loomed up. It hasn't changed its position. It stayed in the same position. The only thing that's happened is we've encountered blockage during the daytime. That's the only thing that's happened.
Ranty, once again, I think this is vital, and I'm sure you realize this from your own observations as well. Whether the tide is coming or going, what's the situation regarding the body of water you're looking over is a massive influence from the point of view of the observer. You can get above all of these obstructions just by increasing your height. This has all got to do with our perception and the limitations of our vision, right? Cameras are all based on fundamentally the eye, how the eye works, because if an image doesn't seem right from a camera, then it would have been altered in the design process, or beyond that, the manufacturing process or whatever, so these are all massive concerns. And am I right to say that that was in a bay, the image you're showing there?
I think it was across a lake, so it was the Joshua Nowicki one across Lake Michigan, I think it was.
Okay, so that wouldn't be an influencing factor.
I think it was.
But Pete, it goes back to say like what Paige was saying about when the waves crash on the beach and you feel the spray. You can't necessarily see it, but you can feel it. You can taste it, and so
right.
Looking out over the distance with a tide, a shoal, a difference in whatever the ocean's doing out there. Are there not cresting waves, breaking waves?
Of course there are.
And so Rumpus, if he's only going to bring salt into it, then, well, salt is the only reason when I add it to my fish tank that causes that damage, blah, blah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, how come, here, think about this. How come they always send a laser through the fish tank, but they don't look through it? You're going to tell us that all this stuff happens when you look. Why don't you go down and look through the thing and see what you see?
What if
They're
I got
pulling
on the
a
other
fast
side
one.
of the fish tank, right? Right, the hand? If I got on the other side of the fish tank, I want to see what that laser looks like.
Yeah, shouldn't we see the sky? Yeah, we should see the skyline looming down easy, and then you pull the salt out, the sugar out, and it should look normal. Why are we doing a laser? Just look.
Show us a camera view from the point of view of the laser also.
It's a parlor trick.
Well, here's a consideration.
Yeah,
right
the magic trick.
Oh, hang on, Pete. Can I just ask right there? Can you draw a shape, then change the outside lines of that shape and still keep the area within that shape the same? Can you do that?
You could make a circle a square with the same area.
Thank you. I had this dickhead on Discord yesterday saying, no, the area, as soon as you change the lines, the area changes. Squish a ball and it's not the same area. So, well,
No,
yeah,
that's
you
not
can
true.
actually. You can keep the same area.
Well, you can't quite get the exact same area, right? The hand from a square to a circle. This is the age-old problem of squaring the circle, right?
Well, yes.
Yeah, you can. No,
you can make. But you can.
You can make.
I wasn't even saying straight lines. I was saying
area,
you could use wavy lines, anything.
Yeah, the surface is just the area. The area inside.
I wanted to go back.
I
to
can make a
Paige's point
64
earlier.
square inch circle or 64 square inch square. So
exactly, the area doesn't change.
Well, whoever's coming in there, can I just finish off? Can I just finish off this point by whoever you're welcome to come in, obviously. But let me just finish off this point by if we think about the density of the material, and if we think about sort of propelling a stone or something to the dense material, it's going to take a certain trajectory. And it seems to me that the laser is doing a similar sort of thing. I guess with a power increase, you could do away with any sort of distortion because you'd make your way through the ever increasing density as you fire it horizontally. But that's all I want to say with that.
Light doesn't have mass, Pete.
Oh,
Brenda, hang
Jesus.
on 1 second. Hang on. Paige, I wanted to go back to your point earlier about the glass of water. You can put a piece of paper with an arrow on it, it reverses the arrow.
Yep,
The
behind
pencil in the
it,
water,
yeah.
it's being bent and magnified. You can do, there's all types of things that water is affecting the way things look when you look through it. Now,
Oh,
when they're
yeah.
saying there's very little water particulates in the air, they're talking about a cubic meter. But when you extend that over 10 miles, you're looking through a huge amount of water. And that is affecting the
Yes.
light and the objects behind it. Don't let them fool you with these parlor tricks.
Absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
no,
They're being
Dave. No, Dave.
disingenuous.
It's only 2%, Dave. It's only
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
irrelevant. It's
No,
irrelevant.
I heard today. It's 3.5%. Science, they upped it. So.
Yeah, okay.
At
At one moment in time, and that's how Rumpus thinks. Is only at one moment in time, one point in time, it's like it's 2%. Well, we're looking over 27 miles of that 2%, right?
And then you add in the convection of heat and cold at different layers. 10 feet above the water, it could be the heat goes up to a certain extent and then starts cooling, then can heat up again. You're creating a convection. Look at like a jet plane taking off with all its gases coming off the exhaust.
Yeah.
It will hide the background. Think about looking through 5, 10, 15 miles of that, and then you can understand why things disappear.
Yeah, but
Bingo.
why can't we see from one end of the flat Earth to the other? Oh, that argument just blows my mind.
Shout out to Good
No,
Servant.
but that tells you how disingenuous they are right there. That argument right there tells you how deluded they are, right? That they think we should be able to see.
They're the guys that I usually just go, block.
Exactly.
Nah, can't talk to
That's
you.
all of them.
Shout out to Good Servant for the $1 super chat. Much appreciated, mate. Thank you very much.
Ranty, I don't mean to bring up old beans, but from just the way Rumpus talks, he should be able to see his own ass in a telescope. Right? just the way he talks.
Yeah. Do you know, it was me that got him on that. I actually got him on that. It was me that actually encouraged him to say that. Yeah. And then we got the soundbite from him. And then when me and Tony were actually cooperating with each other, I actually did a mock video of that. So I zoomed into Tony's big fat arse and made a cheeky video about it. But I remember that.
Look what their religion makes them believe, right? Like when you're in a religion, you have to believe things, right? And people are like, "Oh, Chris, you're so stupid. Your religion makes you believe in the sky daddy."
A man that walked on water. Yeah, like how ridiculous.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, you're right. It's a little crazy, but so is seeing your own ass through a fucking telescope.
Exactly.
Like photons or angels, right?
No. Ranty, this is funny. This idiot right here, I was trying to tell him that photons and angels share a property. He's interrupting. Watch. Look at him interrupt. Look at how he does it. Now he's just going to screw
photons or angels.
You go ahead, get it all out, then I'm conceding the floor to you. Say what you want to say.
Yeah, this knobhead.
Photons or angels.
Introduce yourself, bud. Introduce yourself and be polite, I guess, like always. I know what Right the Hand said, by the way, so off you go.
No, that's it. Photons or angels, right?
Yeah, but introduce yourself.
Yeah, glad you agree.
You know.
Photons or angels, so there you go.
Hang on, is this the Wicker Man?
Okay,
so
keep him on mute. He's got nothing else to say.
Hold on, who's the... Right, are you going to engage in us in a chat here, the Wicker Man? Or are you just going to come in and make...
To be honest, mate, I'm actually here to try and learn something.
Oh my God!
All right,
this is the dickhead who said you can't have the same area inside. This is the guy. Is it the Wicker Man?
Okay, Paige and the Wicker Man for the next few minutes.
I'm going on mute. I'll go on mute.
Oh, he gave me a laugh yesterday. He gave me a giggle. Thank you so much. I had an awesome afternoon.
You're welcome.
So
seriously, you're welcome.
For us? Thank you. Yeah, no, seriously. It was awesome.
Seriously, you're welcome.
So what else you got for us? We need some more giggles.
It's not on my head to say anything. It's up to you to say shit to me, so carry on.
Talk about the circle square thing, Paige.
Yeah, he said you can't move the lines around an area and get the same area. He was trying to say that if you squish...
Did I?
am I allowed to talk without you interrupting, or are you just going to be?
No,
an
not
arsehole
really.
the whole time?
Not when you're being wrong when the chat is in the Discord. So yeah, carry on.
Well, then I asked you to talk. You said you wouldn't. So either talk or shut up and let me talk.
Well, when
One
you're
of the
wrong,
two.
I'll butt in.
He
The only
said
touche-
you can't get the same area when you
No, I didn't.
squish a ball.
No,
Yes,
I
you
didn't.
did.
No, I didn't.
Okay, what
Okay,
did
so
you say
what did you
then?
say? Yeah, there we go. Watch him not answer this one.
Yeah.
I asked you how
'Cause he
big
was
your
trying to
country was,
equate-
and you had no idea, and you admitted it.
No, I said what? I said Google
Look it up. It's in the chat.
Yeah, I said.
Yep.
Yeah, I said.
So there you go. Admit it then.
Excuse me, can I finish? I said Google it if you don't know. Why are you asking me? And you said, well, you should know how big your country is. I said, I do. And
Actually, you didn't because the chat's there.
Yeah,
You
go and
admitted
look
you
at it.
didn't.
I said,
Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
Oh my God, you are insane.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Seriously, mate, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I'm not being nasty or anything now.
Everybody's seeing what you said.
do.
Everybody's seeing what you said. And then you blocked me after it, and then
Guys,
okay, listen to me.
because I said
because
I do.
I put you in a fucking corner, you blocked me.
No,
That's what you
let's get the claims.
Yeah,
let's
I put you
hold
in a corner,
on.
you admitted that you
Right,
didn't
okay,
know
so
of it, and you blocked me.
so let me put
nice
you.
tactic.
Wow.
Hold on.
Hold on. Tactic, innit?
Right, Paige,
Yeah,
please
I'm
be
not
quiet.
talking to people
Right.
like you.
Right,
You're
don't
a
go.
lying arsehole.
Paige.
Yeah, well,
Bring it up, Ranty.
Right, okay, so I've had to mute Paige. I want the Wicker Man to tell me what the problem is, and then we'll look it up. You tell us the claim, the Wicker Man. Go ahead.
It's no, I'm here to learn. I said in the chat, I'm here to learn about the flat Earth, really, and try and understand where you guys come from with it. Sorry, my baby's in the background crying. To basically get around the flat Earth, your countries on your flat Earth are all distorted. Are they or are they not?
On whose flat Earth?
The flat Earth map that you use, that you portray, that is the flat Earth.
Have you ever seen me portray a flat Earth map around here?
No, I'm talking about flat Earthers in general.
No, they're not distorted.
Yeah, they are distorted. Australia is 10 times. Well, Australia is bigger than the USA.
Distorted?
Well, Australia is bigger than the USA. About 1,000 miles.
Are you talking about the Mercator map? Is that what you're talking about?
Measured that? Yeah.
But like I said, it's on your head to prove to me that the Earth is flat, not the other way around. So,
you're
if you
We're
need,
not proving the
if you
other
want
way.
to
We're
try
proving
and
it's not a
prove,
ball.
You're a wicker
you're trying to
man,
prove
a
that's
giant
flat.
straw man.
No, we're trying
Ranty,
to
check
disprove
out-
the ball. Nothing more. Nothing more.
Well, have you disproved
Ranty,
it?
check out
Yes,
check out the general
absolutely.
chat.
Check out
Look
general
at that picture
chat.
I put in there.
Okay, one sec.
Look at the picture. So, if he wants to talk about like the continent sizes, he's right. Like they do exaggerate the continent, and this is because their ball is bullshit.
That's what he's misinterpreting what I said.
No, it's not.
I said
Okay,
yes,
so you
they are
see there-
distorted, but I did say I knew the size of Australia. Like,
Right, what
he's
do
saying
you
I said I
what do
didn't
you
know the
say?
size
How
of
do you-
Australia. That's not what I said. I said I
Right.
do.
Right, so what map do you use then? What map do you use?
I don't.
You don't use a map. Isn't that the basic
what?
shit?
Not a flat Earth map. No. What map are you talking about? What do I use for what? For what specifically?
You've measured Australia, haven't you, Paige?
I've driven around it, but it's different to what even like if you look at the train line that goes across Australia, they're the best things to check because you know they've laid the train line as straight and as flat as possible. But that was the whole point, that he said, do you know the size of Australia? And I said, I do. And
guess there
he's
has to
now
be a
telling everybody that I said I didn't know. Yeah,
guess
it
there has
was.
to be a reference
You said,
point
are
then.
they distorted? I said, yes. Totally
pretty
different
much.
thing. Totally different yes to a totally different question. But you
Well, is the
have
size
to
that you know it
twist
to be,
my words.
is that an official size? I mean, is that, or, have you allowed for distortion?
Well, that's where our argument about changing the lines around something and getting the same area happened. And that's why
Right.
I'm saying that, yeah, it's possible to distort the lines around an area and keep the area within those lines the same. And he's going, no, it's not. It's like,
I want to know.
Yeah, you
know
can.
when he
Yeah,
says.
but
when
guess
he says
what? If you
distorted,
didn't
like,
block me,
distorted in
if you didn't
comparison
block
to
me,
what?
then you would have
Mate,
noticed
I've got
what
no
else I said.
interest. I've got no interest in knowing what you think. I have
distorted
only
in
myself to
comparison
prove
to
things
what?
to.
When they put you
Don't
in a
need to prove it
corner,
to
you
you.
block
This
them.
is the point. Is that who is
No,
that?
when
40?
you lie about what I've said, I block you.
That's
Was I lying
Straight away.
about it when I was
okay.
chatting to you? No,
Okay,
you
hold
looked
on,
straight
guys.
away.
I want to hear what
Yep.
Face
You're already
One's got to
now
say.
you're saying that I'm lying.
Hold on, I want to listen to what Face One.
You are.
Hold on, I want to listen to what Face
You
One's
are
just
lying.
said. What's
Okay.
Face One said?
I'll go with you. Don't worry.
Right.
Oh, Wickerman,
I'm not
just
Raise the
rude.
conversation, please.
quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You say
Face One.
distorted. You say they're distorted. I say, or ask you a question. Distorted in comparison to what?
That was fundamentally my question to Paige as well, because if we're not going by the official size, and then there has to be a standard, you know.
So if he actually looked into it, he'd see that his argument is mute.
And then on top of that, Wickerman, I'd like to ask you, what are the only two shapes with angles that add up to 360 degrees?
Huh?
Oh, now he's gone quiet. Wanted to talk all over me.
Who, me? Sorry. No, I'm just...
No, Wickerman. Been asked 2 questions and has gone dead quiet. Now it'll be, I had to do something with my baby, I couldn't answer.
Let me just, whilst you guys have a think for a minute, let me just respond to Professor Phil Bell, who says, Queen Daddy of FE, boss of FE knowledge, first class loudmouth, chickened out of a debate after telling everyone he was going to debate me. What in the world are you going on about, Professor Phil Bell?
What is he talking about?
What are you going on about? I haven't.
Phil now thinks that
it was probably a sock of me. It would have been a sock. It would have been a ranty sock, and he's been talking to a ranty sock. And
didn't even realise.
Oh, how stupid, Professor Phil Bell! It would have been so easy if you'd have just checked. And you can buy, what is it?
Checked.
Yeah, you can get Google Chrome, and you can get, what is it called now? It's like Go To Channel, I think it's called, and you can see who the person is that you're talking to.
Winding him up.
I haven't spoken to Professor Phil or said that I'll be debating him and that nothing like that. So sorry Phil, you got that one wrong, didn't you, mate? Right, Wickerman, who is he anyway? Where were you talking to him yesterday then, Paige?
He just popped up in your Discord, Ranty. He just popped up out of nowhere, and like I give him a chance to answer me with what they honestly believe. But as soon as he doubled down on, no, you can't change the outside lines of a shape and keep the area inside the same. As soon as he doubled down on that, I went, block. There is no point in talking to these people if they can't even be honest about something as small as that doesn't prove anything. You know, it's just what you're taught in primary school, you know. If they can't even be honest about that, I don't want to talk to them. I don't have time for that shit.
He seems to deny that that's what he said, but you sort of
go
went
and
from
look in the
giggling
Discord,
with him
please,
yesterday.
everybody.
Maybe give him another chance.
I get it. So, right, listen. The fact that Professor Phil didn't actually spell it out properly who he was actually meaning. Apparently it's Quantum Eraser backed out of the debate with him. I don't know anything about that.
I thought it might have been QE because he was telling me that QE was my queen, and I had to message him back and say, Phil, you really need to learn something about the people that you're talking to, because I don't even particularly like QE and I don't watch his channel videos. I watch Nathan's, and I will be the first one to pipe up and say, oh my God, QE's being such an arsehole. I mean, he's been an arsehole to me, so... You know,
he's your queen, is that what he
said? Is. Yeah, he's my queen. Yeah, FE queen. I'm like,
listen,
oh my God.
There's a lot to be said about a name chosen like the Rumpus. He knew exactly what he was doing when he picked his name. So did Quantum Eraser. He knew the truth before he entered the arena. Don't forget it.
Yes, he
Ranty, did you hear him talking about the
reason.
Rumpus tonight, going back to the Flat Earth Debate Channel days, 2016?
Who? Quantum Eraser? I don't watch his stuff.
Yeah, on his channel. He was live just repeating that show tonight.
No, I have to be honest. I don't watch it. I haven't watched his stuff for months, so I have no idea.
Are you sick of all the repetition?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, to be honest, like I say, I'm sick of the... Yes, I don't want to get into it too much. I'm just going to say that it is very repetitive. So, yeah, that's it.
It's good for new people who need to learn those things. It's fantastic. That, you know, that what he does is absolutely necessary in this argument. But once you understand his arguments, there's nothing new for you. So you may as well just move on. You know
so why has he set those
people
limitations?
People like Wickerman are at the beginning, and I don't want to deal with.
Well, the question is then, Paige, for us seasoned investigators, why is he stuck at where he's at, which is seemingly at the place where he started?
I ask myself all the time.
And let me say this:
I mean, maybe...
why is ether a no-go word amongst all of the crew when it's only with the killing of the ether, the doing away with of the ether, the quantum mechanics, which Quantum Eraser is a champion of in the flat Earth scene. Remember, this is outside of all of science, really, when you get to flat Earth and apply all of these principles. You know what I mean? So, why is he so stuck? And why is he a Bible literalist?
That's your point about the extended
span. He doesn't seem to be a Bible literalist to me.
Can we do a quick mic check with... I just want to do a quick mic check. Angel of Attack, if you have a mic. If not, the real Bob Dole. Can you do a mic check there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, coming in fine.
Okay.
Cool. Anything you want to add to the discussion before we carry on?
Not particularly here, no. Whenever you guys have a break in your arguments, I just had some pictures I had taken that I was wondering if you guys wanted to look at.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
If you want to post them in the general chat, so just up on the text channels, we'll have a look at them.
Okay.
Can I just say to Pete, that's your point, isn't it, about the extended span, that we're looking into things that are outside of science. So you can't necessarily look into today's science to find the answers, because today's science is going to tell you the answers for a ball.
Exactly. But the thing is, as I come to understand, it's all metaphor. The truth is known. Come on, people. Who do we think we're dealing with here? The military have a very strong presence in flat Earth. Also, the church
think they're dealing with people like us.
They throw in the fucking likes of the Rumpus and their minions to keep us occupied and keep us arguing the same points again. Ultimately, you got to decide what is as an individual, what is this quest about? What is going on here? For what it seems, anyway, it's more trouble than what it's worth. What do you reckon?
And Pete, would you say also, Pete, that equations used to describe stuff and always end at a particular point in space or time, and boom, that's it. It's the answer when we live in a dynamic, ever-changing world, right? You know,
we live in a metaphysical world, man. Our own being and its powers come into all of this as well. And this is another thing that we were which one of us wasn't an atheist after due consideration when we were heliocentric? Certainly was, and lots of my friends were as well, based on that, the truth coming to us via all the great minds of the past, you know what I mean, a necessary truth. So to be intellectually honest and you accepting the truth as what it was, you had to be an atheist. But coming back to an immaterial base for our reality, well, that makes all the difference. We are reintroduced to the zero. So that's another big factor.
It's just like Right the Hand earlier, about 10-15 minutes ago, saying at face value. I believe he was trying to talk to Rumpus or that other guy. But he's trying to get to the level of where they can understand. Just take it at face value, right? Just to see if they could understand where he's coming from, because what he's trying to say was 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, metaphysical.
Yeah, but look, you need a forum for more sort of positive and constructive conversation. And here you have the likes of Rumpus, Brenda here coming in, just continually bringing you back to square one considerations, which is a dimension away from reality, because the globe itself is fantasy, right? But it's not fantasy for the sake of fooling, right? It's metaphor. The lie is built on the truth. So I think we're meant to make our way to the truth, right? Via our own sort of efforts and our own mind.
Absolutely.
Can I just say that I've had a look at your images that you posted in the chat? Is it the real Bob Doodle?
Real Bob Doodle.
Yeah, it looks to me. And okay,
respect for your new guest.
It's kind of
please,
crazy
Ranty.
how often I get that when I'm on Xbox Live. The real Baboodle.
Baboodle, yeah.
It just looks to me like, to be honest, it looks like obviously the sun is passing behind some clouds. To be honest,
it kind of looks like it, doesn't it? No, I took those on the 4th of July. That's the moon, and if you look at them in order, what it looks like, you can see at first, it seems like the light is affecting the clouds directly above it.
Yeah.
And then as it moves up, you can kind of see it looks almost like it passes behind some of the clouds, but obviously not all of them. And then it gets above, and it looks like it's affecting the clouds below it. And I'm just wondering, is there an answer to that, as far as like the moon is supposedly 238,000 miles away, and yet it seems to be affecting the local clouds directly around it as it moves up in the sky?
No, they have absolutely no answer to that.
I can handle that one. I got it. That's refraction.
Yeah. And my moon picture in general is also taken on July 4th. I don't know if that's a coincidence, but that was an odd night where the moon looked exactly like the sun.
Hey Rakia, is that what you've just put? Rakia, did you post that? Is that the moon?
That's the moon.
It is, yeah.
Holy
it was super cool. I wish I had my
4th.
P1000 with me. I just had my cell phone though.
That doesn't
mine's with the P1000.
That looks like a setting sun, to be honest.
That's
what I'm saying. The moon is a direct reflection of the sun.
That's what I'm doing with the ballers in chat when they say they can't be deceived. They know what the skylights are. I post that picture and say, "How far is that light?" And they say 93 million miles. I say, that's the moon, right? Yeah.
Wow.
It's easily deceptive. I mean, it's crazy.
I'm blown away with that. I've never seen the moon like that.
Well, the sun is the moon. The moon is the sun. But
I got really giddy whenever I saw it. I was pointing it out to my parents. Now, my parents are very skeptical of the concept that our Earth might not be exactly what they've been told it is. But I was getting excited. I was pointing it out to my wife and trying to explain it to my parents. Like, that doesn't make sense with what we've been told. Clearly, there's something wrong there, but they don't necessarily buy it.
Yeah, and Brenda's saying it's overexposed, but you can see it with your own eyes.
Yeah, I don't think that's overexposed. Not if you've both captured it on the same day.
No, you can see it with your own eyes that it looked like that.
Yeah.
There was no exposure of the camera. That's reality right there.
So now that Dave, now that after taking away the infinite universe from us, or in a sense, and we're back in a sort of an up close and personal environment, these things can't be coincidences, surely. The sun and the moon appearing to be so similar, and of course being the only two things in the same size in our sky, it can't be coincidence, right?
And on that particular night, July 4th, the sun had set like an hour and a half before this moon came up. The sun set in the northwest, and this moon rose in the southeast.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Mm-hmm. I remember it distinctly because it was amazing. It was just amazing sunrise.
Where were you? Where were you located?
Moonrise.
If you don't mind me asking.
I was in Louisiana, and that moon rose over the Gulf of Mexico, rose over the water.
I was in Wisconsin, like northeastern Wisconsin-ish, sort of central Wisconsin.
Yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday because that moon was so distinctive. I couldn't tell the difference between a sunrise and a moonrise, and I took pictures of it. Now, it was pretty cloudy, so I didn't get a lot of them, but I'll show you some more that I got.
I think the day being in it had something to do with that maybe as well. It's all symbolic, right? All of these dates refer to something different than what we think they refer to, but that's amazing. Can I just ask, have you come to any definitive thoughts on these wonders, Dave? I mean, let me just ask, because the panel mostly flat earthers. When we see a crescent moon, what's happening? What can we deduce that's happening with the moon when we can see apparently through it? What do you think, Dave?
I'm not going to give my final thoughts on that right now, but I will tell you I think the sun, moon, and stars are within a firmament with water, some type of liquid. We say water, but a liquid being mirrored, and if it's coming through a crystal-like mirror, it can do. I mean, you know, the effects can be great, right?
Amazing.
Or
So-
if it's been reflected off a mirror, the water would
Right.
act like a cold,
Yep.
contoured, watery surface, mirror-like surface, right?
That's definitely an option. I mean, it's
And
point
Dave,
source.
this
There's
is what
all types of
explain.
options.
This would explain why stars seem to disappear as we go above the atmosphere. We get to see all of these things
Exactly.
through the water in the atmosphere.
Through the atmosphere. That's right. That's exactly right, Pete. I don't agree with everything you say, but I mean, there's so many possibilities out there. To say it's settled science is craziness. Well, they're
this is
taking
all about the
away.
individual making strides, right?
Well, that's the other thing I want to point out. These light sources seem to be indicative of individual viewer, right? So I think that is the creator telling us we're all individuals. We were created, you know, as a personal effect of him, his image. Yeah. And these lights seem to follow us and be personal, right?
I can see the stars. The stars are here. Look at them. Google Earth. So you find them. That's where they are.
One day we will all meet our maker.
Aristarchus is revealed, and this is why when you look at the moon and compare it to the sun, you can find Aristarchus on the sun. Every crater is an expression of the same crater. We just see it from a different angle, right? So we're not sort of orientating ourselves properly. We're not seeing everything in the right vein. I guess it's like bowlers in a sense. When they see a picture of the sun setting or the boat disappearing from the bottom up, they say what they see, you know what I mean? Whereas in effect, we need to decode the image, decode what we're seeing. But Aristarchus is not listed as the most mysterious crater on the moon, the most mysterious object in our system or in our universe. It's been described as for no reason. It's a clue for us, but it's not the end. It's to bring our attention to it. But also this heliocentric system, the focus taken away from the Earth center. This is brought to us historically, we're told, by someone called Aristarchus of Samos. Again, another story, another clue to add up when the time and the context is right. And let me just say, I don't think any of this stuff is difficult, really. It was all about the context. Remember, we were told with definitive certainty our place on Earth, just a simple planet around an average sun in an infinite universe almost. And that was the context of our existence. Now that the context has changed, everything can and indeed needs to be viewed in a different light for the individual. Let me just say it like that. You're worth it, right, Dave? We're all worth it.
Yeah.
We're all created special, and we're all, you know, that's it. The creation proves everything to us, right? And we can prove everything through creation. That makes sense.
Right. And in a sense, it's black and white. Rumpus is an atheist. Brenda will be an atheist as well, and we were atheists ourselves. So it's only via the contrast that we can appreciate our journey towards the truth anyway.
Hello. Good morning. Hey, Ranty, it's Aaron. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I just had to mute something because I think they were on the toilet.
Oh no, that was sorry.
That was me. That was a toilet flushing, wasn't it?
No, it was me. It was me. I was pouring water into, just doing my fish tank work. That's
Listen,
all.
that's what you say, but we're going to claim that you were flushing a toilet there.
Paige, you think Brenda still pees standing up?
No, I promise, man. I promise.
Sorry,
I was.
So do you think
I thought I
Brenda
was
still
talking.
pees standing up? Old habits
Standing
die
up.
hard.
She's probably bought one of those little plastic thingies that the girls use when they go to a nightclub or whatever.
I don't know about peeing, but I don't know about peeing, but when bullshit comes out, I know it's through her mouth.
Wow, you guys are doing some really good Christian work at the moment, hey? Hey, Ranty, I just wanted to
call out those Satanists.
I'm not a Christian for a start.
Go ahead, Aaron. What's it you need?
I just wanted to congratulate you on hopefully what will be the end of this super chat drama.
Oh right, okay.
So yeah, well done, and that's all. Just wanted to say that I think it's all great news for you, and hopefully you'll get your health back shortly.
Guy,
and
isn't he?
Pete, can you just seriously? I just wanted to verbally congratulate him. That's all, and hopefully you'll get well soon, and it'll be all smooth sailing.
Well, getting well soon might take a while. They've told me it's going to be 6 months before I get my operation, unfortunately. So that's kind of a kick in the teeth.
You could.
That sucks.
Heal yourself.
You could.
Heal yourself.
It is. It's terrible. But you could. You could escalate it by just telling them you're having worsening symptoms. But that wouldn't be.
My
that
dog
wouldn't be true
has had
unless
surgery 3 times in the last 2 weeks. Like, and a human can't get like that. I'm just stunned at how long.
Be your own best doctor.
just
Heal yourself, Ranty. If it's not urgent, then go look into alternative treatments. That's my advice.
What can I do for? I've got two. I've got two.
hernia
two big hernia,
yeah.
2 big hernias and a small hernia. It's actually 3.
Nothing you can do.
alternative
You've got
Hernia's got to be sewed
Yeah,
up,
I've got
man.
3. 2 big ones and a
Unfortunately,
small
There's
one.
no alternative treatment, Pete. So
No, there is an alternative theory. Didn't someone win the Nobel Prize for an alternative theory regarding hernias? And it was down to a bacterial sort of source ultimately.
that's ulcers.
It's a hole.
That's
It's a
ulcers,
hole
mate.
in your abdomen.
That's
ulcers.
It's a tear. It's
Right.
a tear in your abdominal wall.
Ulcers are caused by
Yeah, you actually
bacteria,
have to
not
stitch it up.
hernias.
Yeah, and it's actually it could get worse because your intestines can go through that hole. Your intestines are constantly pushing up against your muscle.
Yeah.
So if you have a tear, it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Stop telling you saying it. I'm going to stop breathing in a minute because it does hurt. Honestly, at all times. If I go for a walk for just 10 minutes, it feels it feels like I've been punched in the stomach about 50 times. It really
and
does.
they're making you wait 6 months.
Yeah, you're going to be sore.
Yeah.
You're going to be
look up
because you're
alternative
always
treatments
recovering.
anyway. You should be busy looking up alternative treatments.
Hey guys,
Well, you should definitely,
it is unfair, but you do understand that there's a process around triaging people. So there are people that have more life-threatening illnesses than Ranty. So they go up the list. You do understand that?
I understand that.
Well, but he,
Yes,
I
but
mean,
we also
I
understand
feel like
that they've stopped a lot of surgeries they didn't need to stop, so they've scaled down the amount of stuff they're doing when they didn't have to.
Also, look at the problem of
they
welfare.
were just told that they had to. So whether we get into that case or not,
the Nuremberg trial guys said the same thing. I just did what I was told. Yeah, we know all about
it. Shouldn't everybody get medical attention?
No, if he dies because he doesn't get surgery, it's the same fucking thing, Aaron. I'm sorry, but it's the same.
Bro, you shouldn't. Yeah,
thing.
if you have something, and the government's like, we want to make health care for everybody. Bro, I don't want to walk in and be like, well, it's not that bad. You got to wait. I'm like, yo, I'm bleeding. I pay for this. Can you take care of this? Well, it's not that bad. Fuck that. No, if you're paying for fucking healthcare for universal, if I'm sick, I walk in, you take care of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm not going to get into this.
If my dog can have 3 surgeries, then a human can get surgery. You know, if a vet can be open, then a doctor can be open.
Fewer.
Yeah, and we've got way more doctors.
On the waiting list page.
We've got way more hospitals, way more human doctors. So there
way more
shouldn't be
people.
an issue. And it's
Way more
dangerous
people.
for Ranty. It's like
billions
Yes,
of
I agree.
dollars.
Of course, right, Aaron?
Yeah, so if he dies because of this, it's on the blood is on their hands, not his.
Could you please give me 2 minutes without interrupting? That'd be great. I'm not going to fight or argue with anyone. I understand the complexities of the healthcare. Okay, see you guys. Thank you.
See ya.
Have a good show, Ranty. Thanks, man. Bye.
See you later.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah.
Good work, Pete. Those are fun.
No one seems to be talking about Corona hoax anymore. Right?
Hang on, Pete. Can I just say, I just want to, before I forget about what you said about the ether before, I just want people to think about the ether in a way where it's like a Wi-Fi for our brains and our emotions. Like when my dog went for surgery, the first and second time he went in, they had to cut something right in his neck, right next to his carotid artery. The first vet and the second vet, 2 different vets, both of them only did it real small, didn't go near the carotid artery, were, quite timid in their surgeries, so it didn't get better. And I wasn't worried about those 2 surgeries. This third surgery, a different vet again, she was full on. She'd done this surgery before and actually she showed me the photo of where his neck was cut open. She showed me his carotid artery. And she said, I literally had to cut the stuff off his carotid artery. And I had been sitting there all day thinking, oh my God, they're going to ring me and tell me he's died on the table, that they've nicked his carotid artery or something, he's bled out on the table. I didn't have these feelings for the other 2 surgeries at all. And it wasn't until I spoke to this third vet and she showed me the photos, I went, oh my God, I've been feeling your thoughts about how close you are to that, major thing in his neck, that I could feel that. So, I think there's a lot more to this place than what people want to, or even realise, want to realise or realise.
I have a question for Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Pete. This is Aaron, or Face One. You're talking about...
Is that Aaron Moorfield?
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah,
Aaron
okay.
Moronfield is what you call me.
Okay. No, I don't. I know. Oh, okay, well. How you doing?
No worries. Hey, and I just jumped back on. I had to jump off for a minute, and I heard you guys talking about the ether, and it just made me think. So when there's a eclipse, right? They call them the eclipse.
Yeah.
Where the light is cut, it's clipped, from our point of view, but yet they'll show this what they call the coronal ejection, and what is that light traveling through in order to get that picture? If light travels through a vacuum with no color, no nothing, until it hits some sort of...
Good point.
Right.
Yeah.
You're talking about in relation to the official story, is it?
Yeah. Their story.
Oh well, I mean, I realized early, really, honest to God, back in 2016 when I encountered these cunts. I was going to say, I wasn't actually going to say cunts, but people like Rumpus. I soon realized that they were here to play a part, and in my own thinking, anything to do with a spinning ball Earth, and that includes everything, right? Is fantasy. It is. The more you try and think about it, the more you try to work it out, the further you will sort of delve into a fictional, a tale of imagination, right? So that's my starting point. In regards to what's going on actually, if that is a real representation with all of the different arcs coming out, and they talk about these being, electrical arcs of some sort, although they don't say that, or just massive explosions, or whatever they call it, right? Well, for me, the sun is a focal point of reflection against this watery, energized barrier. So you have these immense reactions with the barrier itself. That's the best way I'm coming at it, and that's what you're capturing there.
I guess my question would be like, how come when we block out the sun, or the not we, but you know what I mean, the sun gets blocked out by something, the big talk is look at how, look at these big, they're not sun rays, but you know what I'm talking about, Paige? It makes the sun look huge. How come it's not lighting up all of space, right? Then right?
Yeah.
But
if there's no medium there, and there's no color through no medium, you've got a good point.
That's right. White light, or all spectrums of light, are invisible unless through a lens or some sort of...
Just be prepared. They've probably got some story for that.
Yeah, I'm sure, right? We're sure. Pete said something like a few months back, and he's probably said it way before that, but he was like, how come, what happens to the heat in night, when the sun is so hot, right? And it's traveling through this free space, this free open space shit. What happens to the heat when it hits us? This little tiny Earth, how come? Where'd all the heat go, right? And heat is ultraviolet, or all spectrums of light.
If you went into space, Aaron, and headed straight for the sun, as opposed to being in the intense heat, right, as we all imagine, you're actually in the intense cold. You're probably two degrees above absolute zero.
See, that question got skipped over, but it resonated with me. I was like, dude, Pete's right on. Like, what the hell? Right? How come? And they don't even want to touch it.
Don't they say that it's hotter?
Mad. And they talk about the atmosphere.
Isn't it hotter as you move away from the sun, like compared to standing on the surface? Like you back away, however, and it starts to get hotter than if you're standing on the surface?
I actually think there's a sweet spot in terms of the sun. See, what's happening is it's the water in the air, it's the excitation of the atmosphere. If we think about the dew in the morning and how when the sun comes around, first of all we get light and we get this whole process, excitation, evaporation, and scintillation. I think this is actually how we get to see. This is how our eyes work, how we perceive things, right? But yeah, I mean, the Boiler talk about the atmosphere traveling in tandem with the spinning Earth, and those sort of lone particles, which define the differentiation between Earth and space, just clinging on in there, right? So what happens with the sun's energies to these lone particles? Are they so bravado like that they can just withstand? Not the heat. What is it? It's an intensity. They won't say the sun's light is light. It's not visible light they're talking about. So I think that confusion is put in there purposefully as well, because we all have this ingrained idea of what light actually means. But no, yeah, this is why the sun disappears. Or sorry, not the sun. The stars disappear as we go up because of the intervening lack of medium, right? In this case, mostly water vapor, but also why the moon, which is getting on topic. How can the moon cause a full eclipse of the sun, right? Well, when we go up as well, the moon always shrinks to a small dot. You will never see, if I'll eat my hat if I'll see one, high altitude balloon footage, army footage, or whatever, showing a coincidence when they send up a high altitude balloon to capture the full moon at its closest point to them in all its glory. It should be massive in the sky, but never, ever see it. So I think this is all pertinent, and of course, well known as well.
I would love to see evidence of the moon shrinking as you go up in the elevator.
I'm sure NASA could probably show that, or that should be something on their list to show. Right?
I don't trust NASA.
What's on NASA's list then? What's their point? What's their goal?
Nobody said NASA. You said it. I don't care about.
Oh, okay. Well, it's just
NASA.
one of the
When you go up in elevation.
One of the renowned agencies that have the money and funding to take this observation that you're asking for, Carlos. So.
Okay, well, Aaron, Carlos. So I'm not going to look for links now. That's down to yourself. But will you agree that the stars seem to disappear to the visible, in the visible range anyway, as we rise beyond a certain point? Would you agree with that? Is that not Carlos? It's someone else, isn't it?
Agree.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know it was Carlos. I just know that from my vantage point, the highest I've ever been is on Mount Rainier. The camping site's about 10,000 feet. And the sky was awesome. That's all.
Yeah, the further away to get from light pollution, the better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos,
yeah, but I was only 10,000.
I know that. I drove all the way through Europe and slept in the car a few times. It would open up sunroof in the middle of nowhere in France and other places, and you absolutely get a wondrous sky. But remember, we're looking through an atmosphere which we're told is mostly composed of nitrogen, which is an interesting fact itself, or fact in inverted commas. Nitrogen we can mostly associate with soil fertilizer, and I think this is significant. But fundamentally as well, water vapor, and which thickens as we get ground level. So
it's irrelevant, Pete. It's 2% irrelevant.
Yeah, it's only 2%. So
indeed.
I've been chatting with Angel of Attack and this other guy in the chat.
Moon shrinking as you go up in elevation.
NASA can't even get their story straight about whether you don't see stars or you do see stars. Dickhead Don Pettit said, "Oh yeah, you see all the stars in the Magellan clouds, or in the Magellanic clouds, or whatever they are." And then the other astronaut goes, "It's pitch black, as black, the blackest you could ever imagine." It's like, dudes, you've just told completely contradictory stories.
Yeah, and
talk to your handlers because they're letting you fuck up big time.
Yeah, and the Lucifer telescope there in Arizona or California, wherever it's at, right? It can see trillions and billions of miles, but it can't zoom in on the Hubble, right? It can't zoom in on the Hubble for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, I said this many times. Everything is reversed in this upside down, topsy turvy reality of ours. So a telescope, the more powerful it is, the more powerful the microscope, because there is a fixed backdrop, right, not
Yeah.
too far away, against which everything is reflecting. So the more you can zoom in, like a microscope, you're looking.
That's
At
exactly
a
right.
yeah,
Yep.
a tighter and tighter point on a surface. Exactly.
Exactly. Isn't it wondrous?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Alice,
But you
down deep inside the rabbit hole. That reminds us of David ISS, witness
So
to
is anybody
9/11 from across the sandy beach, right, and friend to Mark's Argent's Pepper.
Oh, God.
mhm.
If there's a greater story waiting for all of us to unravel, and we
you
first
guys
have
have
to take
ventured
the
a
first
long way.
step, which is coming to flat Earth. Maybe Rakia, Dave, we look at the likes of Rumpus or Brenda as heroes in all of this because they're the ones who, without their passion or instigation, I guess, or a resistance, we wouldn't have
Yes,
maybe reached the
good
truth
point.
in as an accelerated way.
Their
I
attitudes
I
will help
admire their
some people to
persistence.
look more.
Yeah, their faith is stronger than mine. I mean, that's all I can say. They have more faith than I do, and they're passionate about it. So
Yeah.
I do admire that. I just, we have to meet, get a common ground here and be civil about it. I don't attack them for their beliefs, but they're constantly attacking me for mine. But there's a lot of chatter in the chat
Exactly.
about EQ mounts right here. There's angle of attack, WS, Phil Mayo, a couple others in there saying EQ kills flat Earth. None of them will come over
Oh,
here
they've
and
been
give a.
saying that for years. Yeah, but they won't come in and talk about it.
No, they won't. And they're telling me I don't want to hear about it. Well, I'm asking them to come on and let's hear both sides and let me make a decision. But none of them are going to come on, I guess. So
Okay,
it must
so
not be
hold on.
must not be
So
that big of a deal.
so shout out to EQ mounts. If anybody's got any anything they want to talk about with the EQ mounts, hop on. I'll put the link right now.
Yeah, I showed it the last show. Instead of using a gnomon, I used the simple design of the equatorial mount. This is what I show you. These stick with a stick is rotating around it. This is the equatorial mount. That's it. And it keeps pointing to a certain point as long as the Earth is spinning. It's spinning in the opposite direction. That's what I showed.
You're a literalist, though. You look at the sun and you say, well, it's doing this big arc as it sweeps around because you've decided you're on a spinning ball Earth right now. Have you imagined if you were on a flat plane and the sun was actually doing a circle or an ellipse in that fashion around in a horizontal plane around some sort of a fixed barrier above? Have you considered that? And how would it appear to you, perspective wise, taken into consideration? Because it certainly can work both ways, right?
Okay, if I think as a flat earther, I would say the sun does not circle above the flat earth. And if anyone saw Dr. Zach or Decimal Z recent upload, he addressed that problem.
Why wouldn't you say the sun circles above the flat earth?
Because the angles wouldn't work at all.
But we know it doesn't circle consistently. We know as we experience a by the way, spring and fall, something is moving, friends. Something is rising, something is falling on a continuous basis.
Something is
I
speeding
actually like
up
to
and
think in
slowing
terms of a
down.
fountain, right? What's going on at the North Center with the North Lights. So something's springing up. But yeah, you haven't even considered these things, right? Is that Crow, is it?
Yeah, yes, Crow. Look, I have a very honest answer. I didn't invent the globe, or I didn't conclude that the globe looks like this. I just took what people said and I tested it. Now, once the flat Earth tells me specific details, I can test it, but I cannot invent it. Same as I didn't invent
But try
the globe.
yourself, man. Try yourself. You're like Dean, waiting for someone to come along. Give me
Crow.
a picture from NASA, and I will apply. And I'm open to be convinced. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
Crow.
No, do it yourself. Do your own
Crow,
thinking.
you say you didn't invent the globe or all that, and we get that. But are there certain folks that you look to that in history that possibly did confirm that made you look into their research? Are there a few of them? Give me 1, 2, or 3.
You mean from the flat Earth side?
No.
No.
that created the globe or invented the globe. You said you didn't
Approved
invent
the
it.
globe,
I know.
right?
Yeah, I know you didn't mean invent it, but are there a few
Didn't
researchers
conclude it.
throughout history, throughout history that you look to with their experiments that you replicated? Are there a couple of them?
Maybe Eratosthenes, but I didn't use the sun. I used the polar star.
Now, my only question would be, is in today's day and age, with your technology, it would be so. Would it be easier to replicate their findings and dismiss other findings, without looking further, or are you just after confirmation, or are you actually looking for replication of Eratosthenes with sticks in the ground?
No, I didn't use a stick in the ground because it was nighttime. I observed Polaris, and it was pure accidental. I was in Sudan, in Aswan, and Alexandria, and this is like 3,000 kilometers in between the north and south.
I've been to Alexandria.
Yeah. Oh, good. So I remember the angles on the three places, and so I did the same, basically the same thing Eratosthenes did, but I used protractor instead of sticks. This is the only thing that I can say I replicated, but I have my other ways, like finding a route of flight from a place to a place, and then measure the angles of the sun during that time. So I have my own ways. Why would I replicate
problem
something?
I have with that is you're assuming the science, today's science, to
confirm
see whether it works on a flat Earth. That literally everything could be different. The sun is an apparent position. The stars are an apparent
Everything is
position.
different.
How are you saying the angles? Okay, they work on the ball, because they backwards engineered them. So of course they've made the ball the right size, so that the angles all work. But if you then change what the sun is, where the sun is, all that, or what the stars are, where the stars are, all that changes.
And it never changes year after year on their ball, right? Their math,
you don't get to create a tool for a specific purpose and then claim that it proves something when it accomplishes that specific purpose. You just made it to do that.
Exactly. Well said. Thank you. Yes.
All I say is I test the claim, and it works.
What claim?
So what's your conclusion? What's your conclusion? Okay,
well, hold on. Let me just interrupt here, because I know that I've spoken with Crow about this before, and I asked him, did you also try to prove it or falsify it on a flat plane? And he said he hadn't. He'd only ever tried it on the globe.
Yeah.
No. Whoa. Hey, come on. Remember, Ranty, this was maybe like months ago. And I say that I even tried to think that the sun is moving like a pendulum between the two tropics, and it goes and comes, and I brought the equation of the pendulum, and I tried to test it, and it didn't work. So I think you
how long did you try to do that?
Like how much time did I give them?
Yeah, how much time did you invest in it?
More than I tried to invest in discovering the globe. What I mean is, I don't have the capacity to discover things. I only test what's given to me. But I tried, like maybe the answer just
Crow, you
maybe.
do have
Hang on, let him finish.
Discover things.
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4 days, up to a week. I wanted to have a start point, and the start point is the declination angle of the sun, which latitude line the sun is perpendicular to, and I couldn't solve it.
Okay, so you have a YouTube channel, yeah, and you put content out and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you put that content out where you tried to map everything with the flat plane?
No, because they were just thoughts
He
that
used latitude lines.
It would take too much time.
No. What I mean is, you said you spent 3 or 4 days over a period of a week trying to falsify or prove it. Why didn't you put the video together to say how you concluded that it didn't work on a flat plane?
Yeah, well, as I said, it was just random, not random, just thoughts that gets aborted on the start. So there's nothing really useful.
I see. So you tried to do it in your head.
You're not in this for the truth for yourself,
with
Crow.
paper and
confirmation
Excel
bias. There you
sheet.
go.
Crow, I have a question. It's a serious question. It's about the sun. It's about the sun. And it's about the angles. 15 degrees per hour. You've seen certain flat Earth type maps where the sun goes from Cancer to Capricorn throughout the year, right? It comes back and forth, and people say, well, the sun would have to speed up, right? Is that, you kind of agree with that? Okay. Now on your model, or not yours, the heliocentric model, is the Earth's orbit around the sun, is it elliptical or is it circular?
Yeah, elliptical.
Okay. So in that 365 days that it takes to go around the sun, if it's an elliptical orbit, would the Earth have to speed up and slow down at some point?
Yeah.
Okay. And also, at that time, if in the heliocentric model, if the Earth is tilted and rotating at a certain 24 hours per day, whatever, when it's at a certain point in that elliptical orbit, wouldn't the view of the sun, the observation of the sun, be not exactly 15 degrees per hour? Not exactly?
Yes.
Okay, but you guys say it is.
It's even worse than this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's even worse.
Yes, worse as if you didn't look deep in it. If you just took the number, you'll say something wrong with the globe. And the number is, during the summer and during the winter, the angular speed of the sun, if you watch it as it enters your screen from one side and leaves to the other side, measuring that angular speed, it would be 13.7 degrees per hour, not 15.
Works on a flat plane.
Yeah, so we could just switch that. Yeah, Crow. We could just switch that and say the sun.
Okay, but
It's just
anyway,
speed, not the Earth, the sun.
I have the exact answer because this was one of the subjects that I talked about. The sun speed or relative speed change, maximum change is 0.003 degrees per hour. That's
math. Give us some reality. We don't want 003.
So you'll go along with all of these claims of how your eyes are lying to you.
To 15.
Yeah.
So why when quantum erasers say 10 to the minus power of 17, everybody cheers up, and when I say 0.003, it's a problem?
Because it's minuscule.
Well, this is also small, but not as small as
how
that.
How
store
is it 0.003 when it's the difference between 13.7 and 15? I'm sorry, I don't follow how you got that.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Imagine if you are on a merry-go-round and you watch someone standing on the ground, he would be moving relative to you or spinning relative to you with a certain speed. Now imagine if you look at the ceiling, if this is an enclosed place, if you look at the ceiling to a point that it's not exactly over your head, but just a little bit away from your head. A little
ways off, yep.
Yeah, it will be slow. So it just perspective. It's not that the Earth rotation changes.
Yeah, angular distance over time and measurement, right?
Crow, you're
so
willing
if the
to.
sun's moving above us, it could do that then.
Absolutely. You're willing to accept this concept that your eyes are lying to you to get to the idea that it is a ball and you're not seeing what you're seeing, but you won't ask the basic question of, is the sun even actually there? The thing that I'm measuring from and getting my angles and my distances, is that the sun? Is that there? Or is that something else? So you'll accept their claims of your eyes are lying to you.
A reflection?
That's a good question. What is it? You can't prove what it is. So how can you measure to it and get angles to it and from it and around it if you can't even prove what it actually is or that it's actually there?
Well, because the claim is logical. Every light source that I
That's
see.
not an answer,
No,
dude.
it's not.
That's just a dismissal.
Okay, ask me again the question. Maybe I misunderstood you.
You're taking measurements about the sun and how it moves. Okay,
Yeah.
you're taking assumptions about where it is and how you can. My brother actually made an argument about this, about how you can take math and figure out where the sun is using the angles. But you can only do that if you start from the assumption that the sun is an object that is physical and is where you think it is by looking at it.
Exactly.
But now apply that to their logic where they're telling you over and over again, your eyes are lying to you, your eyes are lying to you, your senses don't see it properly, you can't feel it, all of your senses are wrong, here's the math, but you won't apply that to what you're talking about now. What if the sun's not actually there? What if it's somewhere else and you're just seeing something that's a result of the sun?
Yeah. Okay. There's 2 points. The first point, when I say the sun during the summer and the winter, the angular speed, if you measure it on a phone or something, is 13.7. No one told me this. I'm the one who found it.
Just going to quickly say that Professor Phil Bell, I'm not taking calls on Skype. They won't feed through. No one else will hear you. So if you want to join, I've sent you the link in the chat right now. And Daniel Kako has given a €5 super chat for me. Thank you. For Ranty, it says, thank you very much. I will make sure that the €5 goes to me for next month. So thank you very much.
Is physical.
Is a flashlight reflection physical?
Even the reflector. Yes, I was just about to say this. Even the reflector of a flashlight, it's within the, it's very close proximity to the light source.
Okay, hold on. Just let him
the
finish.
Source
Every
told us
light that
skylights
you've
is
seen,
physical.
Every light I've seen is an object.
Okay,
even fire. Fire is not an object.
Every light you've seen is physical. It's there. It's real. Okay, and every light that you've seen has been right here on Earth. Its source, its destination, its everything about the way it acts has all been right here on Earth. And now you're trying to take that and apply it to something that you have literally never been to, touched, or sensed in any of your 5 senses in any way, shape, or form. So why do you get to do that with the sun when you just said everything you've experienced means you have zero experience with the sun itself other than what you see with your eyes?
Well, I have no other assumption to make.
So you admit that it's an assumption then?
Every other light you see has,
no, I
you
said
see the
I
light,
don't
right,
have
but you know it
any
has a source
assumption.
separate from the light.
I don't have any assumption. If I would say the sun is not physical, then I would have to assume.
Can I just ask?
You don't have to assume because you don't have to know what it is. You can just say, I don't know what it is, so we don't know what it is. You don't have to assume. That's what they want you to think, is that it's not okay to not know something. But it is okay. It's okay to say we don't know what the sun is. Let's think about it.
But you're
on the other side. You're assuming it's not physical.
No, I'm not. I'm saying I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, let me just say something here, please. You walk into a dark room, Crow, right? And you see the expression of a light on the wall, like a flashlight or something, but you sort of you're not looking in the direction of the source. Now, you see the effect of it, the output of it, and you know via experience that there has to be sort of an input, a source itself, right? But you're actually looking at an expression of the source. What I say, and you've been in this arena long enough,
And then he measures it by its angle.
Brent Rollo here doesn't realize this. You know the Earth is flat before we did, probably. But in my own thinking, yes, all skylights do have a source. This is why everything revolves around Polaris, because that's the primary expression of, well, Aristarchus as it emanates from the North Center. So,
do you see his point, Crow, that you're literally measuring the round flashlight light that you see on the wall over there? You're measuring the angle to that and saying that's the source, and it's this far away.
The flashlight on the wall does not radiate light and heat. Does not cast shadow.
But it's also man-made, so you can't.
Well, I have to work with what I got.
But you can activate your imagination every now and again.
See our point? Yeah.
Instead of backing Crow into a corner, kind of with these questions, which I agree with, it's all worth talking about. I think we should attack the model that maybe he's trying to test and see.
Or maybe you could ask a professor, a physics professor.
Okay,
I'm trying to
here we
pull
go.
out of
Here we go.
Refraction.
Here we go. Okay, so I've been looking at sunspots.
Let's get the real indoctrinated answer.
Oh dear, Professor Phil's here. Well, before we get into that, we need to thank Mr. Gadget for a $2 super chat. He says, the sun going away from you but not shrinking equals a lie. And I have to agree. That's something I will be doing more research on this year. So, Mr. Gadget, I'm on it, mate.
Looking at sunspots, pictures, images, everything is sunspots. They've been highly tested since like 1630s or something.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find a. Well, let me ask you a question first. Does the sun have an equator? Sun have an axis and an equator?
Insofar as it's a sphere, and it's you could imagine that it's got an equator.
No. I mean, in
well, yes,
definitive
yes,
science.
it does. So basically,
Okay.
the sun and all the planets, all the planets sort of
Sure, they have an axis and an equator,
yeah,
right?
exactly. They have a plane about which they rotate around the Earth, the sun. So
cool.
yes, in that case,
And on the surface of the sun there with its axis and its equator.
Hang on, he said a plane on which they rotate around.
Yeah. He's talking about the
Us.
solar system plane. But
yeah, exactly.
So, Professor Phil,
yeah,
I've been trying to find a picture of when I found many videos of sunspots moving across the sun. And they're always in like right along the equator. The sun rotates and everything looks cool. Now, here's my problem. Okay. When I go to March 31st, basically an equinox, or September 31st, I'm tilted 23.4 degrees when I'm looking at that exact same sun. And I cannot find a video of sunspots or any solar activity rotating around that sun's axis at 23.4 degrees. Everything is always as if we're looking through it, from December or January, or sorry, July or December.
I don't
now,
think.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Why is that? How come you think these
when,
people tilt their camera off to
no,
take
no, not at all.
photos of the sun?
Because it really wouldn't make a difference. It really wouldn't. It makes a difference. The tilt makes a difference on Earth because it changes the amount of energy that's available.
I'm an observer. Listen, I'm an observer on the Earth.
No, I understand. I'm
tilted. Now it's tilted, right? So I get 12-hour days, 12-hour nights. But I'm tilted. I get to see the sun. I get to see sun come up, come down. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about when I observe the sun at those 2 times of the year. How come the equator of the sun is not tilted at 23.4 like it should be in December and July? Late July. That's when they say the sun's equatorial plane is only 7 degrees off the Earth's equatorial.
Yeah.
Now,
so
when I go 3 months later and I'm tilted, but I look at the sun, how come I don't see a 23-degree tilt of?
I don't think you would. It's so far away you would not be able to.
No, not me, but a professional observer from the Earth. Do you get it?
Yeah, no, it's you wouldn't be able to. The sun is just too far away for you to be for anybody, professional observer or not.
NASA. I'm talking about NASA photo. Okay.
Okay, so
from Earth.
How does the sun's energy?
It always looks like we're looking at it straight on.
Unless you give me
exactly, Paige. They always show it to you as if you're looking straight on. I looked at sunspots
as if it's a personal thing.
I looked at sunspots from March 2019, and it shows, a short little video of, and you can see the sun spinning, whatever they show, whatever, but it's not tilted. How come? But I'm tilted.
What makes you think that? What makes you think that it's not?
Because angles are the same. Any angle change, we see the difference. You look at something on Earth from a different angle.
Paige, how do you know
give
what
it
the
to
angle
us?
is? You're looking at a ball. How do you know?
Because you tell us what it is.
Well, didn't he just say he was basing it off of where the sunspots are?
Yes.
So you would be able to
Yes, he
see,
did,
if you can
Phil.
see the sunspots and you change angle, you should be able to see the sunspots change angle.
That's right.
It's pretty simple.
Throughout the year. That's right.
No,
Throughout the year. That's right.
Sunspots can happen
because
anytime.
we are at an angle, the sun is not. The sun is, let's just say, stationary for discussion purposes. Stationary, rotating on its axis. In December, when I'm tilted towards the sun, there is a 7-degree offset, they say, from our plane to its plane. Okay, no problem. I move over to March. Well, I'm still tilting the whole way, right? Until I get to July, where now Australia's in their summertime, and they're looking straight on. So in that time of March or at September, the equinox, I'm tilted when I'm looking at the sun. How come every observation of the sun does not show that tilt?
Straight on, yeah.
Too far away. You just not
This is
understanding the
NASA,
scale.
dude. This is NASA.
Yeah, not
we're
good
talking
enough.
about
It's too far away,
observation
Paige.
agencies.
You don't understand
it's
the
not.
scale.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
so Paige, they can
That's why
take
he
the
asked you, is it
observation.
rotating on an axis? Is the sun rotating on an axis, Phil? Because we have to know that, right?
Yeah.
So your claim is basically it's too far away for us to see it. Only the special boys get to know about it.
Yeah.
No, nonsense.
No, he's saying they can't even see it.
Oh.
Okay.
That's ridiculous.
All right. Listen, there's some more important things to talk about the sun. For instance,
This is a question that's never been brought up, Professor.
that's a
if you really want to
brilliant
look
point.
into it, if you really want to look
No,
into
it's
it,
not.
look into
What
it
do you
and
think?
come back.
How does it help your flat Earth? How does that help your flat Earth, please?
Because if it's
We're
not,
not
if you
looking
can't
to
find
prove a flat Earth. We're
No,
looking
but you have
to prove your globe. That's it.
You want the flat Earth movement to go ahead. You
No,
want
no,
this
no.
to become serious.
No, we want the globe
We're looking.
movement to go ahead.
Aristarchus is the sun.
Do you want
Professor
the flat
Phil,
Earth movement to go
we're
ahead or
looking
not?
at observations from your
No,
point
we
of
want
view,
people
the
to be
globe.
globe skeptics.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
you
looking
don't.
at
I don't care what it
observations
is
from point
eventually.
of view. From your point of view, Phil, I'm looking at
you should do,
observations from
Paige.
your point of view. I'm
Well,
not saying
I
flat.
shouldn't say that,
anything.
but it doesn't matter, at this point.
Well, it does
Bring
matter.
compelling evidence that it's a pyramid,
It does
and we
matter
can look
because
at
you're crying out for academics to take you seriously, but you don't want to take yourself seriously.
We're crying out for academics to look at the globe properly, Phil.
There are multiple funded agencies that observe the sun day in and day out. Coronal ejections and massive solar waves coming towards us that affect what I mean, right?
Of course.
I mean,
yes.
okay.
By the way,
cool.
Aaron. By the way, Aaron. I think that those corona mass ejections and plasma, that's all connected. And again, with the proper context, the sun being reflection, focal point reflection off of this watery barrier, the skyline beyond being the fundamental.
Absolutely, Pete.
Moving forward.
Absolutely, Pete. In our world, down here, flat level, stationary, perfect. Yes, but in their world, something different, and they take observations of it and tell us.
Phil knows the Earth is flat. Phil, when, to the best of your knowledge, because I heard you talking about it before, was the Earth proven to move the way all theorizing up to that point? And remember, when they moved away from flat Earth, they had to have great proofs and great explanations for such a massive shift. When was the Earth first proven to move categorically? So all theorizing up to that point could be confirmed, and all future theorizing, more importantly, could continue with confidence. What's your answer as a man? What's the best of your knowledge?
Well, put on the lab coat.
I'm not a historian, but I do know about, for instance, from Kepler's time onwards. Look, so before that, Galileo, Kepler, all of these people who actually they weren't just observations and then talking about how they thought the Earth was moving or how the solar system worked, but then they started actually taking measurements and making, turning it into science. So from then on, I'd say so Kepler onwards would be.
Okay, can I add something?
Then we got
Let me just add something real quick here. That the highest person to ever hit the stratosphere happened in 1913. Right? And he said it looked like a flat disk with an upturned edge. So the first recorded highest observation of Earth happened in 1913, and it was said to be a flat disk with an upturned edge. So when Phil's saying Kepler measurements, Yeah, okay, that was speculation. The first observation said that it was a flat disk in 1913.
Right, and in 2013, you can be sure if a high altitude balloon set up by an amateur went up and came down 3.5 hours later within a range of maybe 30 miles or something like that from its starting point.
Exactly.
So the Earth doesn't
All right,
move.
well,
But
let me
Phil, your
give you
vague answer. Wait, hang on, Phil. Your very vague answer. When we get to the crux of this matter, this is the very first question we have to pose: is the Earth moving? We have three questions. We have three questions, right?
Yeah,
as we look
good.
out at the sky and the Earth. What is moving? Earth is moving, the sky is moving, or a mixture of both is moving. We have to decide which is which, and then knowing that, we can further move on.
Well, everything's moving. But
however, you just assume then, and I'll tell you the answer, it was never, ever, ever proven, scientifically or otherwise, that the Earth itself that we're
Everything's moving. Everything moving, Pete.
Here, wait, I got Phil here. Let me ask
hang
him.
on, Aaron. A
Do you
part
want me to
of it
answer
does
your
move, though.
questions?
That's the whole point. This putting all Earth as metaphor. So a part of Earth does move to give us the skyline.
Sure, absolutely.
Do you want me to answer the questions?
Wait, let me ask you something, Phil, real quick here.
Yeah.
If in space there's no resistance, right? So an object will just keep going when it's in motion, or is that how that works?
There's no resistance, but there's very little.
Okay. So when the Earth starts tilting one direction, how does it stop and come back the other way?
Who said it comes back the other way?
Right at the hand. The Earth in their model.
It's not. So wait, how do we get the
fixed in
differences?
space, so it doesn't come back. In their model, it doesn't come back. It's just fixed in space, is what I say.
Oh, so it's slowly changing over time. So it's on
goes from one side of the sun to the other.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Wasn't flat Earth data? Remember when he was saying that? So what was different? So that the angle of the tilt of Earth is he was showing it in winter, as in summer, right? So how is that just orientation? The angle would be the same, isn't that his argument?
Instead of moving the sun, he was changing the angle. So like when you're on the
he wasn't
left-hand
changing
side
the
of
angle.
sun,
No, flat Earth wasn't changing the angle. Remember? So this is where that whole thing with Druss or Stingray, where he was trying to explain in Blender. Oh, look, and flat Earth data was saying, look, it doesn't matter. The angle is this, so it won't work, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's the angle's the angle.
I might have to look
You
at
get
it
what
again.
I'm
I'm
saying?
a bit confused
It never.
now.
Yeah. So since the angle doesn't change, it's just the spin of the Earth. It'll never match up.
Do you want me to answer the question?
No, I got it. It's not tilting back and forth. It's spinning on this oblong angle, and
and as it's going around the sun, it changes, right? So sometimes the northern hemisphere gets the sun. And
this huge elliptical angle, huge.
Yeah, well, you still got to prove the Earth is moving around the sun, I guess.
Oh well, that's the easy part.
That's your next step.
Okay? That's
easy. Okay, well.
Phil,
all right,
even your side said it can't be. You can make a model where it's doing the Earth still and the solar system's rotating or the Earth's rotating, and you can't disprove. Even your side have said that.
Well, no, you can't.
Newton and Einstein both said that.
No, Phil, even your scientists admit that.
No, in 1915 they might have said that. In 1905 they might have said that. They're not saying that in 2020, okay?
No.
Okay, so how do we do it?
Yes,
how do we do it?
In the year of Phil Bell.
A couple of years ago.
No,
okay, one at a time, please.
Yes.
One at a time. Hold on.
They are flat out wrong.
Yeah,
No, I'm not.
No, not. I'm saying whatever scientist says you can't that you can't demonstrate that the Earth is the thing that's moving are wrong.
Right.
They're wrong.
Okay. Because they have said that. Right. Okay.
So you gave us some dates. Let me give you another date. Okay. So I think it was November the 27th, something around that date, that we launched Cartosat 3. Now Cartosat 3 takes a photograph of Earth, the entire Earth, every 12 hours. It's a 250 millimeter by 250 millimeter precision. That's how precise it can be.
What year? What year, Phil? Sorry. What year?
2019.
Okay.
Okay. So it's like really recent. Okay. So this it's 509 kilometers above the Earth, and it's taking these pictures. Its job is mapping. That's what it's for. It's got a 5-year or 6-year life cycle, and it's designed to map the entire Earth. Okay, and so it's always taking, it's always referencing size of the Earth, every time it takes a photograph. So right there, this would not work except for the fact that the Earth is moving beneath it.
What's it referencing? You said it's always referencing size. What's it referencing?
Okay, so it's always referencing, for instance, there's other satellites, which are GPS satellites, that that are pointing at at Earth and getting positions. All right, so it's got position, so it knows exactly where it is.
Pointing at Earth and getting positions.
Oh, do you know how to GPS? I don't want to go all the way back into.
Okay, whilst they get into this pointing at Earth from satellites, let's do a shout out to Daniel Kako. I haven't had a chance to let Pete know, but I will do when we get the opportunity. It says, Pete the urine, please don't drink it. You're pretty cool otherwise, and it's still for Ranty and not for Paige. Bad luck, Paige, you missed out this time. Cheers, thank you for supporting the show.
The Earth, okay, that's its job.
Yes,
now,
but you can,
it
can still map the Earth, whether it's flat or round. You just say, okay, it's on this longitude, latitude, so therefore it's round.
Plus, Paige, I think the Earth was mapped before 2019. You know what I mean?
Let me
explain
to you.
The real Bob Dole, you can come in here and ask a real professor why he can't be skeptical.
Please let me finish. Let me finish.
Hey, Phil, just real quick. You said it has a lifespan about 5 years. This satellite that's taken. What happens to it when you're done with it? Do you send it off out into orbit, or do you bring it home, or how?
Pasture.
Well,
goes to pasture.
You can reduce its orbit to the point where it'll come back and disintegrate on its way back to Earth. Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So now
see the whole Earth at once,
something.
Phil,
Let me just finish. Let me just finish this bit
Okay,
about why the Earth is moving. Okay. It's because the satellite is actually going around pole to pole. So over the North Pole, over the South Pole, over the North Pole, and so on, about 5 degrees out. Now, as it's doing that, the Earth is rotating. So that's why it can take a picture of the whole Earth. It doesn't take one picture of the whole Earth. It
do you observe
No, it
these?
takes. Yeah, exactly.
Phil,
you stitch them all together, don't you? Based on longitude and latitudes. Yeah,
Mr. Phil,
that's our point.
Mr. Phil, you work on these satellites. You help to send them up, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you get to observe the data that's coming back from the satellites, or are you just telling us what your colleague in the next cubicle is saying? Like, hey, Phil, good job. Here's our data. Do you get to actually observe?
All of us are responsible. All of us get to see all of the telemetry, and some of us get to.
Telemetry?
Have you a picture of you with your working colleagues, Phil?
You don't get to see real-time photos.
Wow. Shout out to Sam Hain, who's just stopped by my PayPal earlier on, so I've just opened my emails and just had a quick look. So thank you very much, Mr. Sam Hain, for stopping by and saying hello. Very, very, very gracious. I'm very, very grateful for what you did. Thank you very much. It really will be a great help. Thank you.
It's an expanse of Earth beneath the satellite. So you're not going to see the.
Of course, it is expansive. Yeah.
You're not going to see. You're not going to see that.
You're not talking to children here. Remember.
You're not going to see the edge of it. So you.
And I was serious, the real Bob Dole. Feel free to come in and ask the professor here why he
Phil,
can't cast a skeptical mind.
It's nearly impossible to talk to you people. You just.
Phil, what percent of the Earth?
How many times before have you said
I'm
this?
aware of why he can't.
Right, listen, we need to do this a bit better. I mean, it has to be just like one-on-one. Right, listen, Professor Phil, who is it you would like to have a chat with, and we'll just try and keep it to you two.
Oh, well, to be honest, I don't know who was asking what question, so why don't we just...
Even talk to the real Bob Dole, Ranty.
Okay, yeah, so the real Bob Dole and Professor Phil, just you two, please, if you two can just get into this.
So this is Bob Dole himself, is it?
So in reference to the pictures that I had posted earlier, is that what we're talking about?
Sorry, I don't know. I haven't been.
Anything you like Bob Dole, because the professor here is an academic and he is a global believer. So
that would be. Okay. I don't know that would be profitable. I don't personally ascribe any sort of value to titles that people claim. I don't think that appealing to authority like that is a good way to start off or even continue an argument or a debate by saying
I
that
agree with
my authority says this, and so I'm allowed to make these claims. You claiming to
I
be
agree with
professor,
that.
that means nothing to
I
me.
agree
Me
with that.
claiming, it would be the same if I said, well, my religious book says this, so you must believe it. Well, that doesn't convince anybody. So if you're actually going to try to convince somebody, you have to care about convincing them, and therefore you have to meet them based on the standard that they've established. If you come in and decide this is the standard and you have to accept my standard, you don't care about convincing them. You care about just making your point and leaving it up to them. You don't care. Okay, if you actually want to convince someone, you have to ask them, what is your standard and can we meet that or not? Now, if they give you an impossible standard to meet, then you can just say, I don't care enough about convincing you, believe what you want, and go on.
I completely agree. So science doesn't really care who you are and what your title is or what your name is. Okay, it only cares about what you say and
a
what
degree
evidence you bring.
degree doesn't actually mean that you know what truth is. What it means is you know what you were taught and were able to repeat that back in a fashion that allowed you to pass whatever tests they had lined up that they designed for you.
No, definitely not. That's not a good characterization of what it means.
Ooh, yes, it is.
Okay, that's exactly what it is.
There are some
It's
very well-educated people who are still stupid.
That's how tests work. You have to answer in the way they want you to.
No, they're not.
Or you fail.
Need to go and do a course yourself, and you'll find out. Come and do my course, and I guarantee you won't get away with it that easily. Right? You won't get away with it by regurgitating the stuff that I tell you. You're going to have to demonstrate to me how you know what
Mr.
I tell you.
Mr. Phil, how many experiments did you do in your education up to being what you call a doctor professor? How many experiments did you do versus paging through books and looking at information and regurgitating equations?
I would
how
hate
many
to
experiments did you
count
actually
experiments I've done. I would hate to even
He just
count
said if
I've
I
done.
came and took his class, I would have to show him, and then he explained what I would have to show him. That's exactly my point, Professor, is that what would be expected of me to pass the class? I would have to show you what it is that you expect, and I don't care about what you expect. What I care about is what can we both go out and observe, and what can't we observe with the senses that we have. We have 5 senses. Can we use them or not?
No, not necessarily, because your senses are actually not very good at all.
Okay, so that right there, you would have to start from how can you prove that absolutely that my senses are not good? Because so far throughout my entire life and everyone I've known, every sense that they have access to serves them extremely well for survival, for happiness, for safety. All of those things work very well. So how are senses not good? Please prove that.
Yeah, okay. Thankfully, your senses, thankfully, there are other things that protect you in spite of the weaknesses of your senses. For instance, the fact that you're not bombarded with UVC rays. Let's just say that. So you can't see UV.
Okay, you can't start with that because you just started with something that we can't see.
Yeah, you can't see you can't see
okay,
ultraviolet.
So now you've already started with the assumption that I'm not capable of seeing the thing you're claiming exists. You have to now prove that UV rays exist, please.
Of course you're not capable of seeing ultraviolet. Human beings can't see
okay.
ultraviolet.
All right, so how do you know that they exist? We can't sense them. So what is it that shows that they exist without 5 senses?
Because I have instruments that can
okay, you created a tool specifically for that purpose. You don't get to claim it proves anything if it was created for that purpose. Start again. How do you prove that UV rays exist?
Oh, rubbish. You can see the
That's not
entire
rubbish.
electromagnetic
That's how we
spectrum
can.
all the way
That's
from
the standard,
gamma rays.
Professor. That's how you can know a thing.
He needs to prove how would
There's
we
5
see
senses
them
that we have. We all have them, except for people with disabilities. We all have the 5 senses. If you can't meet somebody on the standard that every human has, then you don't get to make your argument as if it is true. You have to meet those standards. You don't get to say UV rays, they're there, but they're invisible. You can't detect them without our special tools, and then expect someone else to believe you. Either you want to convince them or not. And you can't convince someone by saying our special boy tools see them. You can't with your own senses. That's not how it works, and that's not science.
Have you ever had an X-ray done?
Yes, I've had X-rays done.
Aha. Do you think you can see X-rays?
I can see X-rays. I can't see X-rays. I can see the result of an X-ray test that was done.
Good.
I've never seen an X-ray, and neither have you.
The results of UV as well, but you can't see UV photons.
That's right. I can see
you
the
can't see them reflecting off anything.
But how would you know UV photons would bombard
so
your
listen,
sight?
no, listen, Paige, hold on. Let me. He just completed the idea. I can see the results of what you claim are UV rays, just like I can see the results of what you claim is gravity. I'm not questioning whether or not things fall. I'm questioning your explanation of the thing. I'm not questioning that something causes our skin to burn when we stay outside too long. Of course, I'm not questioning that. We can sense it with our 5 senses that that's what happens. It meets the standard. Your conclusion of invisible UV rays that no one can detect with their senses, that doesn't meet the standard. That's where you step outside the standard. Gravity steps outside the standard. We cannot use any of our 5 senses to detect it. Therefore, it doesn't count unless you can show some other overwhelming evidence, which you can't. Same thing with UV rays.
Radiation instead of ultraviolet, Professor. Radiation, just
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
right
tell
the hand. Get him.
How about radiation? How about any radiation, like gamma rays? How about gamma rays?
What about them?
You can see gamma rays. You think gamma rays are not a thing? Maybe. You think
I don't know if they're a thing. That's not my problem.
Well,
That's not my point.
My
point is that if you can't show that they're a thing, why would I believe that they are?
Do you know what a Geiger counter is?
Do we need to know what gamma rays are to know the Earth moves?
I know that there's a tool that exists that is designed to beep whenever whoever designed it decided that that is a detection of radiation, and not beep whenever it's not a detection of radiation. I am aware of that. Yes.
Okay, well, let's start from there. Okay, so we've got a
Why
Geiger
would it
counter
bombard our senses if we could see these things?
Okay, so these things are dangerous.
Like, why would you automatically assume it's bad?
Well, they are. The gamma rays cause cancer.
Yeah, that's the claim. That is absolutely a claim that people make, is that things like that cause cancer, radiation. Yeah.
Okay, that's diversifying a little bit there, but we need to do a couple of shout outs actually. So I'm going to shout out Sam Hain again. Thank you very much for stopping by at the PayPal, and Daniel Kako with a €5 super chat who says, anybody else who unsubbed from Oakley and subbed to Ranty because of Anthony debacle? Sure, no, I did. Thank you very much there. Is Phil Bell our drunk? I'm not sure. He could be. It's a Saturday. He might be on his day off, so it's quite possible. But thank you for the super chat anyway. Much appreciated.
It's going off the charts like crazy, okay? Now, what is your explanation for what's happening there?
Well,
if that takes place.
In terms of a guy, okay, so that's radiation. That's the measure of the
okay,
radiation.
All right. Now, let's say I look at you and say, no, that's not radiation. That's invisible green men that it's detecting. You just can't detect them with any of your 5 senses. Now, which one of our explanations has more value or more weight to it?
You think your green man has more weight?
I'm saying that both of them are equally worthless. Because we can't prove it either way.
No, they're not.
The tool was designed to detect something, and you can't prove what it was designed to detect. All you know is that it does what they say it will do. It beeps, and then you have to assume that it's beeping for that reason.
Green men. Ask him the difference between green men and radiation.
Exactly.
And he'll just say, well, the radiation is what we did detect.
One is.
What about the guy who ate the radioactive material? Had his Geiger counter out.
I can't believe I'm having this discussion.
I could piece together a little gun that I call a Geiger counter.
I can't believe he's having
just
this
like anyone
discussion.
else
So
could.
why are you here, Phil? If you think these discussions are unbelievable, why are you even here? Because this is our point. We want to talk about these things.
You don't get to build a tool for a specific purpose and then claim it proves that thing when it does what it was built for.
It's designed to pick up photons.
Exactly. Which means it can't prove the existence of radiation because it was built to detect something. It started with the assumption it was there.
What do you think the radiation is?
I don't know.
I think the conversation derailed. The conversation derailed.
I've never been irradiated.
Well, what about the guy who did all the tests where he ate the radioactive material?
We were talking about that our senses cannot save our life. Our senses cannot save our life.
Oh, yes, they can.
Exactly.
Yes,
yes, they absolutely can because they do every single day. You wake up and you use your eyes to not walk off a cliff every day.
Exactly.
Now back to Geiger.
Okay.
Back to the Geiger.
You hear a rattlesnake
you use smell to know that
its
you're
tail.
walking into a dangerous area. You use sight, you use
Smoke.
sound to know if there's a snarling wolf in the woods. There's all kinds of things that you do every single day without thinking about it. Your senses keep you alive.
What about those green men that we have that Geiger gauge beeping, the Geiger gauge beeping, telling me that they're
exactly.
dangerous.
What
that
about
my
those
body,
green men? Please show me them. Please show me the results of them. Please show me
we don't
one
care
thing.
what's that. We're telling you that your body
You
cannot
don't
detect
care.
something
Wow.
that's harmful. Your
My
body
wife,
cannot
my
detect
wife
something
yells at
that's
me.
harmful
Body
for you.
can.
My wife
why
yells
do
at
you,
me
why do you get
every
radiation
morning.
sickness?
That sense saves my life every day.
Hey, let me just
do
say
you,
this.
why do
Let
you
me
get
say this real
radiation
quick.
sickness?
Here, let me say this real quick because this
radiation sickness, Professor. I've never had radiation
Yeah,
sickness.
I don't get radiation sickness. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
can
the people at Hiroshima did.
Can we get it back on the one-on-one for a
People who
minute?
get exposed to sources have. I know some people who have died from it.
Yeah, that's an anecdote. That doesn't help prove anything to me. You're not meeting the standard. Now you're saying I have to accept your anecdote as proof of this thing. I don't accept it.
I don't prove anything. Okay, just let's get that straight.
Okay.
Good quote.
Science
Good quote.
doesn't
Your
prove anything.
conversation is useless.
No, it doesn't prove anything. It provides you a model from which you can
So-
draw conclusions based on evidence.
In that case, there should be no issue with anyone providing another model that works just fine. Also, if that's all it is,
Absolutely,
it's not proving
yes,
or
and
disproving.
absolutely, I totally agree with that. Provided that the one that you say actually is coherent and works.
Okay,
But you're not
one
trying.
that
But
works.
Phil, you're not trying
Guys,
to prove
hold
anything,
on.
right?
It's one-on-one. Hold on. So let me ask you this: what if I say I don't want to provide a model? I just refuse to accept yours. Is that okay as well?
Sure. Now
That's all I want.
That's good. So you can refuse to accept it. So what? You think just because you refusing to accept the model, I'm going to stop putting in the next satellite?
Absolutely
into
not.
orbit?
And I never tried to convince you that I had a model that was right or that you had to believe what I believe. And I won't try to convince you of that. I have no interest in trying to convince someone who
look,
doesn't
no
want
problems.
to hear me.
No problems. No.
Okay.
You are welcome to believe that you're welcome to have a model that you think works and accept that one. As long as it does what you want it to do for yourself and works for you, it's fine. That's how models are. The model that we have in the heliocentric model is is based on evidence and works for the people who want it to work, what they want it to do. For me, I need it to do what it does because I need the satellites to be working. So I know that the Earth is a spin, and I need the Earth
Are you a
to
truth seeker,
be
Phil?
rotating.
Would you describe yourself as a truth seeker, Phil?
No, not really.
Who's that cutie pie up in the corner?
I didn't think so.
Out on the beach.
So that's actually a very large disconnect. Is if one person is seeking truth and the other one isn't, there really is no foundation to build from there. Either you want truth or you don't. There is no connection or
Science
intersection.
doesn't talk about things being true. All right, it talks about it. Science is about producing a model that works for you. That from many different points of view. From many different points of view, it's all cohesive and it does what you want it to do. In other words, it produces the results that you
There is
need.
controversy, though, Phil.
It produces the results that you need. I think that's. I'm glad that you would say something like that so openly and admit it like that, because that's a thing that the other people who come in here and talk, they don't seem to openly admit that it's not just discovering what they need. It is saying what they need. That's what they're going for. They're going into it for that purpose to get the answers that they need. Okay. Now, real science is made up of three things. It has to be verifiable, credible, and repeatable. And what I say, my model is, if it does not meet the standards of verifiable, credible, and
we have a phenomena on screen. It's a shoe.
I wouldn't subscribe to a model that didn't do all of those things.
Okay.
I agree.
So then my claim would be that not that, because the idea seemed to be that you think that I'm here, or that some of us are here to say it has to be flat, it has to be flat, it has to be flat. And I don't say that at all. I do not claim to be a flat earther because I don't ascribe to the concept that I know what it is. I don't know. That's the point, is that I do know what it isn't. If I'm walking along the street, the sidewalk, and I see something brown on the ground and it smells like dog poop, need to know what it is to know for sure that it isn't chocolate cake. I don't need to know what kind of dog.
You know
just
why?
pooped on
Because you're relying on evidence. That's why you're relying
my
on
senses.
evidence. You're relying on your past
relying on
experience.
my senses,
If you
Professor.
didn't have that, you wouldn't know. If you
That's
didn't
right.
know
If
what
I
dog
didn't
poo
have my
smelled
five
like, you wouldn't
senses,
know.
I wouldn't know. Thank you. If I didn't have my five senses, I would have no way to confirm it. That's the big part. Verify. To verify a thing, we have to use one or more of our five God-given senses. We cannot, or you may not believe that God gave them to us, but the five senses that everyone has that is not disabled, it has to meet that standard, or it's not verifiable. It is
Your five senses, like your eyesight, your smell, are not even as good as your dog. That's you're not even as good. You're not even as good
Oh,
as your
that's a
dog.
low blow.
I'm not trying to prove it to my dog. If I was trying to convince my dog, I would have to meet my dog's standard. I'm not trying to convince my dog. I'm trying to.
Some of our senses are better.
You'd have to compete on an.
Okay,
He doesn't
nobody
have
else.
better intelligence, so
Please
does he?
stop jumping
So
in.
Exactly. What
some
are,
of our-
yeah.
At squash.
You're talking about the five senses.
I'm not
Your
asking
dog
you
has
to
better
give me
five
my
senses
dog's
than you
standard
have.
of evidence. I'm just asking you to meet my human standard, which means one of the five senses so that I can verify. If you can't meet one of the five senses or more, then you're not asking me to verify. You're asking me to just believe you without evidence.
Do you understand
Hey, real quick.
that your senses are so limited that you need
According
instruments
to
to
you,
help
they
you?
are.
And Bob Dole, when he says that to you, he's also talking about himself, right?
Of course, I'm talking about myself.
If he doesn't trust his senses, have him come over my house for chocolate cake.
Yeah, exactly.
Your claim that our senses are bad or bad in comparison to something else, that means nothing. I'm not concerned with what they're bad in comparison to. They're what I have, and so they're what I'm going to work with. I have five senses. I can touch, smell, taste, hear, and see. I can do that. And so if you want to convince me, if you honestly are coming to the conversation and want to convince me, you must meet one of those senses. It doesn't matter what dogs can do. It doesn't matter what whales can do. It doesn't matter what anything else can do. You have to meet one of those five senses for me to be convinced. If you don't care if I'm convinced, that's fine too. But then just say that. Don't say you have to be convinced of what I think.
That's right.
No, have
Yeah.
you've heard of radio? You've heard of radio, haven't you?
I have.
Oh, Phil, don't be so condescending.
Have you seen a radio photon?
A what?
Can you think your senses can see infrared? It's much easier. I'll give you an easy one.
No, but we can feel
I
it.
have no confirmation. I have no way to confirm that infrared exists or whatever the thing you were just talking about exists. I don't have a way to do that.
Mr. Phil, I just
You
saw
do,
the
but you
wind.
You
don't.
can hear
You just don't
radio
know
and you
what
can
it is.
feel.
Mr. Phil, I just saw the wind. I just saw it. Man.
No, you didn't.
That was great. That was great. Yeah, I just saw it.
No, you
saw
didn't.
The effect.
You can't see the wind.
Exactly.
Mm.
Same as radio waves, right?
See, again, I don't know if thermal imaging is real. I don't know if the things that you're talking about are actually in existence. What I know is what I can see. So I don't know if you're talking about the same kind of radio that we would hear music like in the car. Is that what you're referring to?
That's all the same. It's all the same stuff.
Okay. So
what about the Wi-Fi?
How do I know for sure that exists? I can hear it with my ears.
Have you
What's that?
got Wi-Fi in your house?
Yes.
Do you see the signals going around, floating around your
Absolutely
rooms?
not. But you know what I do see? I see my
Why
devices
not?
working.
Yeah. So how come? Why can't your brilliant human senses see those signals?
Why would they be able to?
What a
I never claimed they could.
Well, but aren't they limited? I mean, you said they were brilliant. You know, they could.
I mean, for a professor,
okay,
you should be
I guess
teaching.
let's
You should be
use that
teaching,
example.
right?
The example of Wi-Fi. Okay, let's say I had a router in my home. Okay, but I had literally not one single device that could connect to it. Okay, let's say I had nothing, literally nothing in my house. Not one single other electronic other than the Wi-Fi. That's it. That's the only electronic device in my house. And you plug it into the wall, and you say, "Hey, you now have all kinds of signals bouncing around you, and it's called Wi-Fi." Guess what I would say to you? No, that's not true. That's not accurate. That's not real. Now, why would I say that? Because I don't have any way to detect it. But how would you prove
You do have a way to detect
right?
it. Your computer works.
No. Now, wait a minute. I don't have a way right now. I said if that was
he has
the only
nothing
device
else.
in my home, then I don't have a way to detect it. So how would you prove to me that the Wi-Fi was there? You would take out a device, you would connect to the Wi-Fi and show me with my eyes, my sense, that it was connecting, that it was real. That's how you would do it.
Exactly.
You would have no right to stand there with
you have
literally
an
no
instrument.
device and say it's real.
Perfect. You're getting it. You have an instrument. You couldn't do it with your brilliant senses, so you needed an instrument. It was a
I
device.
like how Bob Dole is
And
teaching Professor Phil. Yeah,
was that instrument designed for literally nothing and it accidentally detected Wi-Fi, or was it literally designed to detect Wi-Fi?
Well, definitely designed to detect the Wi-Fi.
Okay, and was the Wi-Fi man-made, or was the Wi-Fi existing out there in the trees and the sky and everything without man?
Well, the signals were there, but we
No, they
managed
weren't.
to use them. Yeah, of
The
course,
information that we get on the Wi-Fi, the information we get on the Wi-Fi, it was absolutely not there. The internet was not.
They're not brand new. They're not brand new signals. They're not brand new
The
photons.
wavelengths
Here
aren't
comes
new.
Pete. Here comes
The
Pete.
wavelengths aren't new, but the signals themselves are new. They weren't just out there being sent and received and containing the information that we have them contain. They weren't doing that.
Maybe they were.
No, they've
The
always
medium was
been
there.
there. It's just that they've been
The data
harnessed
was not
in a
there.
particular. They've been harnessed in a particular wavelength that
That's
makes
right.
it useful.
The medium
That's
was
all.
there. The data was not.
Of course, the photons have always been there.
What do you mean always?
Since the
What do you mean
universe
always?
started, anyway.
What do you mean always?
Well, I mean, it's since the universe, since photons began, however they began.
Photons harness the information that Bob Dole is talking about right now.
No. So what happens is you've got different. So now, the instrument, the one that produces a particular.
I thought they were already
range,
there. They were already there.
An instrument that produces a particular range, for instance, 2.4 gigahertz.
Produces.
It outputs these photons at 2.4 gigahertz.
Where does this instrument get the photon?
The other instrument
where does it get
looks for signals that are 2.4 gigahertz.
Okay.
How do you detect something with no physical body? That's like saying you can detect an angel. Well, if hold on here. If I told you I built, hold on, let me say, hold on. If I told you I have a detector, right, and I'm like, this thing detects angels, okay, and I pointed it at the sun and went beep 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 beep, and I'm like, look, we got one.
Right.
You're saying that, but you replace angels with photons. You point it at the sun, beep beep beep, look, we got one.
Pixies. Yeah.
Hey, Professor Phil, is eyesight a sense?
Sight.
I guess so, yeah. Everyone would say that sight was one of your senses, yeah.
Is that limited?
Oh, very. Absolutely. For instance, there's such a thing called the diffraction limit.
How about my hearing? Is my hearing limited?
Oh, very, very limited. Very, very limited. In fact, your dog's hearing's better than yours.
Yeah, but why is my hearing limited? Why?
Well, your evolution, you didn't need it. You didn't.
No. I mean, as we sit right now, I have the very similar ear as you. Why can't I hear much more than about 100 yards? Let's say.
Well, it's just one of those things about being a human. You got limitations.
Okay.
Phil, are you saying when you see a ball going over the horizon, it mightn't be going over the horizon, Phil?
Yeah, my hearing's going over the curve.
If the frequency is too high, you won't be able to hear it, but your dog will be able to hear it.
Sure. So back to you, Ranty.
That's
yes, hearing's limited.
Away from the point. I think I've made my point clear. Is that you can use your devices, and I'm not saying that tools don't work or that they shouldn't be used or that they can't be relied on to do certain things. What I'm saying is that when you're talking about science and proving something or showing something to be accurate, you don't get to start with a tool that was designed for that specific purpose and say, because it does its job, well, now this thing must be accurate. That's not how it works.
That's begging
but
the
it
question.
is.
No, why don't you
can repeat Oakley's nonsense as much as you want.
Okay.
Let's say, for instance, I've got a sample of water.
It's a logical fallacy, begging the question.
Let's say,
assuming your outcome.
Paige, let's say let's say, for instance, you at your sink, for instance, right? You're going to take a drink of water. So you're in Gippsland, okay? So I know that area quite well, right? So you're in Gippsland and you want to take
on the Snowy River.
Yeah, fantastic area. And you want to take a drink of water. You know that the water the beautiful thing about the snow, the area around the snow, is the water is very little of it is treated other than to chlorinate it, right?
Yep.
So when it comes to your tap, it's got about 0.3 milligrams per liter of chlorine, and the reason that it's got that is to make sure is to give you the 99.9.
All the bugs are dead.
Yeah, to make sure all the bugs are dead
Yeah.
before you drink it. Yeah, exactly. All right. So
yep.
The fact is that you probably can't. Maybe you can tell that there's the chlorine in it. Perhaps you can if on particular days when it's high enough. But the thing about it is that we have instruments to measure the chlorine that can actually tell you how much there is there.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Right. So the instrument was designed. The chlorine, the spectrometer that was designed with that particular wavelength can actually detect how much chlorine there is by the color that's produced from the from the reagent.
Back to the shape and nature of the Earth.
I don't think you're understanding his point.
And you can't see that with your eyes. You can't tell with your eyes that there's chlorine in the water. But
Dodo, to answer your question, it does have to do with the shape of the Earth, because what we have to do if we're going to have a real actual discussion where the goal is to find out what is true or accurate or reasonable, we have to establish a standard. And if he's not going to agree on the standard, then we won't actually build a foundation we can move
what exactly
forward
do
with.
you mean by the standard? What do you mean by the standard?
Okay, so let's say we're going to build a house, Professor. Let's say we're going to build a house, and you bring your tape measure. Are you? I don't know where you're from. Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Australia.
Australia.
Okay, do you use like freedom units, or do you use the metric system there?
We're metric.
Meters.
Okay, so let's say you go ahead and you bring your tape measure, and it's got the metric system, and I bring my tape measure, and I'm using freedom units, and we're measuring things, and I write down a 3, and you measure 3 of whatever you got, and I go and I measure 3 of what I got, and we're trying to build this house. Are we going to build a house with a sturdy, reliable foundation?
No, you better agree on this on the units.
You better agree on the standard of which you're going to measure everything that you do.
All sorts of
stuff.
Yeah, good.
What I'm saying is, in the discussion realm, it's the same way. If we don't agree on what the standard is going to be for convincing another human being, then we're not going to convince another human being.
But
you can't come in and say, this is the standard, accept it. I can't come in and say, this is the standard, accept it. Otherwise, all you have to say is, my college says this, that's the standard. All I have to say is, my religious book says this, that's the standard. And see, we won't ever get anywhere. So instead,
it's also known that Phil is disingenuous and playing a part and proving a liar a million times.
Okay, so what's your standard for telling me how much energy the sun outputs? What's your standard?
I don't have a standard for that, because I would never even try to do that to you. I would never try to claim to you how much energy is coming from the sun. I wouldn't do it. Because I don't care, and it doesn't affect me.
I can tell you, I have a standard. So what do you want me to do? Not use mine just because you don't have
one?
No,
you can use yours for yours, and that's fine. And I'm not going to argue with you about using it for you. Just like we agreed earlier, if a model works for you and what you want to accomplish, it's perfectly fine, and no one else has to be bothered about it, right? And that's fine. Okay. The problem only comes in when I'm saying something to someone and we're discussing something, and a third party comes and says, no, you're wrong, and you can't go down that line of thinking. You're not allowed to address it in that way, or you're not allowed to think that way because I have this degree, or I have this thing over here, none of which meets the standard that we've agreed on.
Use the correct word, because I have evidence.
Like Brenda's saying, we're not allowed to have opinions.
Okay, here's the thing. The thing about evidence is that it's not the same as proof. Okay? Yeah. Evidence is not proof.
Yeah,
and here's the difference. Okay? Let me explain to you. Hold on, Paige. There's a difference between evidence and proof.
Before the students log on, so keep quick.
If a detective walks into a crime scene and sees a red stain on the floor, that's evidence. However, it is not proof that someone was murdered. It's not proof that someone even was bleeding. It could be ketchup on the floor, okay? It's evidence, but it's not proof. He could come up with a very big story, very detailed story about how someone was stabbed to death that night in the house, and then they find out that it's ketchup on the floor. So evidence is not proof.
I agree.
So if we're going to accept something as true or accurate or reasonable and go forward from there, then we have to agree on what the standard is. Obviously, the standard wouldn't be it's red, so it's blood. That's not a good standard. It would have to be something that we can both agree on and both verify. Now, there's only a certain number of things as human beings that we can do, both of us, that we can use to verify, and that would include.
Or we could both use a device that can, or a tool that can tell us.
See,
if
he's
it's
already got his
Okay,
facts,
we could do that if I was convinced that your tool was made with the intention of finding truth, and it was honestly created, honestly crafted, and there was no blemishes or anything wrong with the tool that was created, and it literally couldn't be wrong, and I agreed with you on that standard of that tool, then yes, we could use that tool because we both agree on the standard and we're only talking about us two. But if I say I don't accept it, just like if you brought your tape measure and it was the metric system, and I said, I don't accept your metric system, I build houses based on these units. Now we have to decide if we're going to use your units or my units or third parties' units before we start building that house.
That would be
You
helpful.
don't get to say your units or else.
No, but I would say that if I wanted to know whether that stuff on the ground was blood or not, I would test to see if it's hemoglobin or not. Okay, so if I did find hemoglobin, I would be betting that it was blood.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
You would be betting that it would, and you could make that bet if you wanted to. I wouldn't necessarily make that bet, and I don't have to. I'm not required to. I'm not obligated to.
Well, yeah, all right, sure. And so I can measure the output of energy from the sun and compare that to output of energy from other things, and I can therefore
that's right, and you can apply that to every one of your purposes that you wish to accomplish. But if you're going to come in here and tell me that the Earth is a ball that's spinning at a certain speed flying through space,
it is, because I've seen
then
it.
you're no longer being held up to your standard. You're already convinced. You are now being held up to my standard.
Exactly.
That one's not up for debate because I've actually seen it.
Okay, if it's not up for debate, I don't know
why are you here.
Yeah, fuck out of it then, Phil.
It just baffles me.
There's no such thing as settled science. You just said it can't prove anything. Yeah. You just said you don't use it to prove things. You use it as a working model for your purposes.
I'm not even calling. I'm just saying it's evidence. That's why.
That's right.
But it's not up for discussion.
And evidence is not
explanation.
Proof. I'm not interested
That's the evidence for the Earth moving.
Declare as evidence. I'm interested in finding what is.
You can debate the size. You can debate its. You can debate even. You can even debate what it's made of. You can debate its size.
And
you can debate.
Okay.
Its color.
No, we can debate.
Wait. Hold on, Paige. Here's the question, Professor. Who are you to dictate to anyone else what they can and cannot debate in science?
Oh, look, you can debate what you like. It's
okay.
It's a figure of speech. Okay.
It's a figure of speech. Okay.
Yes, it's a figure.
Then
of
you
speech.
agree that it is up for debate to anybody who wishes to debate it. All right. And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I debate the claimed shape of the Earth. I'm not saying I know what it is, because I don't. I'm not saying that I'm going to try and convince you that it is something, because I don't know what I would even convince you of. I can't prove anything to you about the shape of the Earth other than what we can both see with our eyes, hear with our ears, touch with our hands, smell, taste. That's the only evidence I would be able to provide for you. If that doesn't meet your standard, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with us going our separate ways and you not liking that standard. But if you're going to try and convince me, that is my standard. You meet one or more of the five senses, or I'm not concerned with what you have to say. Like I said, your title doesn't matter. What you claim is overwhelming evidence doesn't matter. If it can't meet one of the five senses that I have available to me, then as far as I'm concerned, it's space magic. It's pretend land. It's little green invisible men. Just like anybody else could come up with anything they wanted.
Just for you, but for me, I need this information that I have in order to make that satellite happen. All right, otherwise it's not going to work. All right, so
I guess, but that would simply come down to a discussion of
putting
need.
it up there, I get to see what the shape of the Earth is.
Well,
okay? I actually get to see it. I get to
right.
see
You claim that, and if you believe that, that's fine.
Live footage coming from the camera. I get to see.
Sure, that's what they tell you.
No, who's they?
Is that an optical camera that you're viewing?
I'm the one who
inspected the camera. You know what? Before they put the fairings together, I get to inspect the camera. I get to inspect the payload.
Okay,
hey,
so what kind of camera
listen,
is it?
if I told you that my minivan went to the moon, and then I brought you the guy that inspected it before it went off the lot, and he said, "Yeah, it can go to the moon," would you believe that?
Look, I've got students waiting for me, so I'm not going to run away. I'm just going to stay here and listen to you. So please keep talking. I just can't talk to you for a bit. Okay?
Okay, that's fine.
All right. So I'll still be here, but I can't talk to you. So
all right.
I'll try and listen to what you say. I'm going to give them a job to do so that they're busy doing something, and then maybe I can come back.
Okay.
We'll see. But I'll still be here, so I'll be still logged.
All right.
Yes.
Okay?
What did Phil actually
worries,
get to
Phil.
say
It's all
in the
good.
half hour he's been talking? Right. I learned not one thing. Not one thing at all.
I learned that he's
I don't
got
know
his
that he was
facts, and that's all
trying
that
to
matters to him.
teach. He was trying to basically move. I set a standard. I made it pretty clear what my standard was, and it seems like he was trying to convince me to move my standard up to include man-made tools just as a standard.
Yes.
And I won't do that. Okay. I don't consider man-made tools to be absolute or to be able to convey truth without mistake. I don't hold them
they can be
up
faulty,
there that
they
high,
can...
right? Exactly. And I think that's
but
what
our
he was
senses
trying to
are
do.
10:05, and they still
something
haven't
we
arrived.
all have.
All right.
Hey, let me say this also. Every tool that he made is made with human senses. So it's just a conglomeration of the human senses. It will project. We put something at the sun. It produces effect that we observe and take in with our senses. We jot it down.
Hey, Professor Phil. Would you be able to get us some raw footage from your satellites?
Yeah. Hang on. Yeah, I'll do that later. I've just got the students now on the thing. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
No worries.
Yay, we've got a confirmation there. He's going to get us raw footage.
To move him
That'd
to
be
is to
good.
understand that the device, yes, a Geiger counter will beep whenever you get near whatever it is they claim is radiation. It will beep. And I don't deny that that's what it'll do. And I'm not saying it's detecting nothing. I don't know what it's doing. And that's the point, is I don't know that radiation is what it's picking up. I don't know if it's little green invisible men. I don't know for sure what it is. And it's okay to admit that we don't know what a thing is. We don't have to have something to fill that gap. It's okay to not know. He wants us to, it seems like, move the standard up and say man-made devices are included in that standard, just like our senses are. And I say no. Man-made devices are not equal among all humans. Man-made devices are not infallible.
Think about this too. He couldn't see we're trying to detect something we can't get in with any of our senses, right? So we have no idea what it is. Then he builds this sensor and it gives us a display. Do we have any better understanding of what this is?
No, exactly.
All we have is the readout. All he did is okay, so we have this readout, okay? Why?
And that's exactly what they do. That's what they do with the formulas and the math too, is they say this thing is reality. And then they say, well, here's the tool, the formula, that you run it through, and look, it gives us the result we said it would. Well, yeah, you just designed the tool, the formula, to do the thing you wanted it to. So when it does that, you don't get to yell and jump up and down and say, yay, proof. That's not how it works.
You have to understand there is an intent to deceive, and Professor Phil Bell here is part of that crew group conglomerate or whatever.
I think there is an intent to deceive.
You might have spoken to him before, Bob, but he's been around the block like so many others, like Rumpus, Brenda, all the rest of them.
I think there is an intent to deceive by someone. I personally don't know Professor Phil, and I don't know the thought and intent of another man's heart. So I won't claim that I know he's lying to me, but I will say I think someone somewhere is being dishonest.
He told you he wasn't here for truth. He said he wasn't here for truth.
Okay, listen.
That's a good point.
Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. We've had a Globe Earth super chat for flat earthers, so listen to this. So it's from Kangu24, who says it's called an education. Not all opinions have the same weight. Sorry, it hurts flat earthers' feelings, but you need qualifications to talk meaningfully about science. Ouch.
I have a degree in mechanical engineering.
Yeah, see, that's somebody who doesn't understand what science is.
Top universities in Limerick.
So what did you say then, Peter? Just repeat what you said then.
Just because you read out the super chat, I have a degree in mechanical engineering, 1995, University of Limerick, to whoever said that.
Okay.
There's several problems with the idea that certain opinions are are more important than other opinions. First of all, that can be true in certain situations, but only on a personal level. So if you have experience with a certain other person, then you can decide for yourself their opinion means less. And you're right for you. There's nothing wrong with that, and I don't deny that. But to say that in science that is a somehow a case because of what you've learned or your education, that's called appealing to authority. Okay, and the problem with that,
can I give an example?
anybody can appeal to authority. If you appeal to the authority that no one else agrees with, then you're not helping. Because just like you can, that person, whoever made that super chat, they can say, you don't have this degree, you don't have this education, you don't have this many years in the field. Okay, that's them appealing to authority, and then I can say,
well, you
haven't read this
doesn't
book,
mean you're going to tell the truth.
You're not qualified.
Exactly. And by the way, that degree means absolutely shit. Fuck all. It doesn't mean anything.
That's right.
You know, like
if you appeal to an
say
authority,
Neil deGrasse Tyson, if he's a womanizer or he cheats on his wife or something like that, well then I'm not going to take what he says with more authority than somebody who I find is a decent human being. So it doesn't matter what degree he's got. If he's a horrible human being, then he's a horrible human being, and I'm not going to take anything he says on face value.
Someone obtains a degree. They don't obtain a degree because someone else can verify that they know what the truth is. They obtain a degree from an institution that was designed to give degrees when you answer the questions properly.
When you memorize an answer the way they want you to.
Exactly. That's what a degree is. Yeah. It doesn't have any connection with truth or reality. It doesn't mean that you know a thing is absolute. It means you know what they taught you and were able to answer it back in the way they expected.
Hey, the Real Bob Dole, do you have a YouTube channel?
Well, not really. No, months ago I made a YouTube channel and I posted one video and I realized that it wasn't good and I'm not good, and so I haven't done anything with it. So
you sound just like me. I did the same thing. Went nah.
I was going to say you sound just like Brenda.
Wow.
I never heard of you before, Bob Deal. You do sound a little bit to my ears like Brenda, but that's irrelevant. What was the topic? What was the topic of the video that you tried to make?
That one actually, I like video. I'm into video games a lot, and the topic of that particular video had to do with controversy that was happening at the time. I think it was like last year or the year before, about some guy from China who he was on a live
and China.
He made
like Trump, China.
He said something along the lines of freedom for Hong Kong or something like that, and he got banned. And there were people who were saying that the ban was not reasonable or not okay, and it actually was entirely within the rights of Blizzard to ban this person. But again, people weren't thinking logically about the situation and what actually happened. They were just thinking about how they feel and what they claim their principles are.
Okay. What do you think of the Corona hoax? Or I shouldn't say that. Another thing emerging.
That's a leading question.
A leading question.
Well, I don't buy into the concept of viruses as told. I think that there's a follow through once you see, like, okay, well, we didn't go to the moon, obviously, and our Earth is clearly not what they tell us it is. Then it's a very easy jump to these things where they're trying to sell perpetual fear. They want to tell you what to fear and then how to fear it. Well, obviously there's something amiss there. Okay, I'm not going to let someone tell me how to fear a thing. Okay, I decide that, and I'm not scared of the coronavirus. I don't even know. I'm not convinced that viruses exist in the way that they claim that they do. I'm not worried about it. I do wear a mask, but not because of coronavirus. I have an issue with people that smoke, and I don't like breathing in the secondhand, thirdhand smoke. And so I have this. I bought this really gaudy, ridiculous, big, like, it's for like spray painting and all this other industrial stuff or whatever. It's got these huge filters on it, and I went and bought one of those from Amazon, and I wear that around. I look ridiculous, but I think it's funny.
We have another super chat from Kangly24 who says, I have never studied medicine. Would a flat earther let me perform heart surgery on them because I have an opinion how to do it?
No, what he should be thinking is, are you just going to trust any doctor you come across? Like, if you went to a dentist surgery and he bent over you and smelt like cigarette smoke, would you trust that dentist as much as one that had, beautiful shiny teeth? And, if you went to a doctor who'd been sued for malpractice a few times, would you trust him as much as you would trust a doctor who had an impeccable reputation? That's my point.
There are levels to importance. If somebody came along and said that, let's say we had, a scientist who was supposed to be all about bugs and someone who wasn't all about bugs, and they came along and the scientist said, this bug is this, and then some, Joe Schmo off the street said, no, it's this. Okay, I don't mind saying, well, I think the scientist is right because he seems to have credentials. It's okay for me to do that, and that aligns perfectly with my worldview. Why? Because the bug doesn't matter to me in any way, shape, or form, and does not affect my life.
It's just like this. It's just like this Corona thing. Like, what's his name? Bill Gates is saying all this shit about viruses and stuff, but yet I've got videos of a guy who's, I think, in his 80s now. He's been a doctor for like 60 years, saying that they've got germ theory all wrong and blah blah blah. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to take his opinion over a computer guy who's never been a doctor, who's never studied all that shit. So
if it was the surgeon, basically one who says, yeah, I can fix your heart. I've done this a number of times and I can do it and I'm confident in my abilities. And it was another surgeon who was saying, actually, your senses are lying to you. You don't have a heart. You never did have a heart. It's actually this other thing, and I'm going to fix that for you. I'm not going to go with the guy who's denying our human senses and says he's going to fix something that I don't even know exists. I'm going to go with the one who admits that I can feel something pumping inside my body, and we call it the heart, and he says he can fix that for me. So I will let him.
I go with the one who said my heart didn't exist. I put it down to Mandela effect, definitely.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. All right. Well, he's going to use gravity to fix your non-existent heart. It's something else.
Let me.
So he can use gravity.
Let me do a follow-up from something that was said just a couple of minutes ago. So Gently's channel's done a super chat too. So he says, "I don't know what it is, but I do know what it isn't. Worst argument ever," he reckons.
That's a fantastic argument. That's exactly how human beings work.
Yeah.
We can't know absolutely
we don't know,
everything
we know
is, but we can know what isn't based on the limited view that we have of the universe, okay? So whenever someone says the colors of the sunset literally cannot happen in any other way, what they're claiming is that they know all knowledge in the universe and know all the ways it can't happen.
Exactly.
The one who says, I don't know how, but I know it's not. They don't have to know every other way it doesn't work. All they have to know is the way you're claiming.
You have to be able to say what something isn't to be able for it to have a property, right? This is actually one of an earlier thought that you can't say this is green if you can't show me not green, right? So if you can't show me not what this object is, then you can't tell me what it is because you can't differentiate it from anything else.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Aristotle, just so you know.
That's how human beings work. So that particular point isn't really, it's not a matter of opinion or debate. It's a matter of that's how we perceive the world around us. And so we have to just accept that that's how that's as far as we can go, is showing what things aren't and then all agreeing then what we're going to say that they are.
That they are, yeah.
Right, to move forward, not to claim they are because we know absolute, but just so we can move forward and work together.
Yeah.
So I don't
always be wrong at the end of the day.
The dog that pooped on the sidewalk. I don't need to know what the sidewalk's made of. I don't need to know all of those things to know that the thing I see on the ground isn't chocolate cake, and we both agree we're not going to eat it because we both agree that it's not chocolate cake.
I think you've really stumped Gently's channel there. You've definitely put him in his box with that.
Well, here's one. And
I don't think you did.
Oh, he will have got the message. He'll have got the message with that.
It amazes me people even think that way. Like, why would he think that way? Why would he think that just blows my mind.
Bob Dolan right the hand killed that argument right there.
Well, hang on, Bob Dole, you mentioned there's no basis. We can't establish a basis for communication, but then any argument is futile. I've been saying it for years. The one thing these Borg, I call them, cannot do is to give 1 inch We saw Crow there as he was stumbling when Ranty asked him about, has he tried to model the sun on a flat Earth? Cannot give you 1 inch. Professor Phil the same. No, the Earth moves. The Earth is a sphere is given. He cannot go to
even though he said
thinking about
everything
what it might
moves
be like
around
if the Earth was
us.
still. That gives their game away, right? And
That's
let me
true.
just say as well, I'm going as well. Let me just say that when I asked Phil, is he a truth seeker? Well, I'm a truth seeker. I want the truth. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll have
It
the
doesn't
truth.
matter
And
what
nothing
that
but.
truth is.
Right.
Yeah.
And Phil said no because he has to, right? But anyway, on that note, I'm going to say good night and thanks for listening to me.
Good night, Pete.
Here's everyone.
The shape of the Earth doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or it doesn't affect my life in any way, and I don't care what shape it is as far as being happy or content or successful or safe. None of that matters when you're thinking about the shape of the Earth. I don't mind thinking it's a ball, just as soon as someone shows me actual, verifiable, credible, repeatable evidence that it is a ball.
Well, what if they're actively lying to you? Wouldn't that change?
That's where a problem comes in, because now there's intent there and somebody is taking action against you. You can't lie on accident. You at least not in that sense. Okay, it has to be intention. And so depending on how you see lies and things like that, like I think that the people who lie, they only make the world worse. No matter what the lie is, if you're lying, you're making the world a worse place, not a better place. Okay, and the intention there, they most likely have a reason for lying, and so they are taking action that is negative, and so then it could affect me. Okay, so if they're lying to my child and saying that thing on the ground is chocolate cake, well, now I have a problem. You're affecting my life. You're affecting my child's life, the person I'm supposed to protect. See, now we have a problem. If you decide for yourself it's chocolate cake and decide to eat it, I think it's
your
disgusting.
problem. Yeah.
That's your problem, and I'm not going to fight you over you deciding to eat it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's because you knew
That's what
what
I
it
have
wasn't.
the biggest problem with Brenda about. You know, I'm happy for her to live her life, be whatever she wants to be, but she says I'm not allowed to do the same thing. And I find that really
falls
offensive.
under the same thing, is that he won't accept a standard. He's decided what his standard is, and he can have that for himself. But he's saying you must also come to my standard for what boy and girl means, for what man and woman means, for what female and male means. You have to meet my standard. And I'm saying, no, I don't. I'm me, and I'll meet my standard. If you don't want to meet my standard, you can leave my life.
If you never have a standard, then you can make flat curved. Then you can make straight lines, curved lines.
Exactly.
You make
because you don't have it.
Space magic for all kinds of stuff if you don't have a standard.
Well, we do have a standard, though.
I just find it so hypocritical. It's like, you know.
Isn't there an SI base unit of standards?
What's that?
Isn't there an SI unit base unit of standards?
And let me just sort your mic out there. Just 1 second, Gently's channel. Right, let's try that again.
Yeah, we do have standards. We have SI base units of standards.
Say something, Jen.
The problem, if I understand what you're saying, is that if two people are trying to accomplish a task and they don't agree on the standard, then the standard isn't doing them any good. Okay? If I come into this discussion and I say the standard is the Holy Bible and you don't agree, then our work is not going to accomplish anything, basically. We have to agree.
I completely agree with what you just said.
Yeah, to
but
get
that's
anywhere.
the reason why we've
Otherwise, that's
established
why we've been
an
stuck in this
SI base
merry-go-round
unit
for
of
5
standards.
years, because what they
Here, can
will
I
accept is
Can I give a good example of why we jump around here? So can we accept, this is so simple, that in order to exist, you need to have a physical structure, right? To take up space, right? Because if you don't take up any space, then you're like the soul.
Okay, so that what you've moved into there is, I don't know that I need a physical structure to exist, because I'm under the impression that at some point I'm not going to have a physical structure and I will still exist. So we can't start from there. So we would have to start from somewhere else. We could set aside the spiritual concept and say, we'll start from the standard that in the world that we live in right now, the only things we can detect take up physical space.
Yeah, I agree. Right. And if you would want to bring something that isn't physical in, you would have to say it's supernatural, right?
Right. Anything you can't detect with your five senses is now outside of the standard we just established.
Okay, so this is where light gets into this hazy area of being non-physical, but we can still detect it.
Can we?
Well, see, I don't believe it. I don't. Yeah, I don't believe in light. I say light, what we call light or illumination, is a property of matter. So without the matter, you're not going to have anything to see the color of. Okay, there's not going to be anything clear to see through if there is no matter.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
But now see, that is a starting point to me. That sounds fine. We can start from there. They can't start from that point because they have to give up so much to do that, and so much of their argument relies on them having like a certain amount of ammunition from this subject and this subject and this subject, ammunition that's already prepared for them. So if you say, well, let's take it back to over here, well, now all their ammunition is worthless, and they probably don't want to do the work. And if it's someone like Professor who admits he's not seeking truth, why put in that work if he's not seeking truth? You don't have the encouragement, the enthusiasm to seek something like that if you're not seeking truth. You're not going to have the enthusiasm to say, no, dump that ammo, let's start over. That's what they were making an argument against me in the chat on, was they were saying every time someone's born, well, you don't have to just start over. We teach them what we know. And my argument is no. When someone is born, they are starting over, which means you have to start over with them. You don't teach them what to think, you teach them how to think.
They think they know everything already.
What you want to do is start a generation from everyone's got to learn everything from first principles, and that's just stupid. Why would you do that?
Why is it stupid?
Because there is knowledge that we've already had. You know, as you said.
Okay, prove it. Prove the knowledge that we already have.
Jesus Christ, if you shut up and let me talk. Right, you're saying there's a turd on the sidewalk, and you're like, right, well, let's stay away from that. And you're going to teach your kids to stay away from that turd because it's a turd. You're not going to teach them it's chocolate pudding, and you're not going to let them figure it out for themselves because you have prior knowledge. You pass on that prior knowledge because you know it to be correct.
Right. But I don't teach them never touch anything brown on the sidewalk, do I? I teach them how to identify the dog turd so they can make a decision for themselves.
Are you going to tell your children to eat chocolate cake off the sidewalk?
No, I personally wouldn't.
Right, no one would. That's the point. Because we know about germs and shit.
Right. But now look at what we're talking about. We're talking about a child. Now, when they grow into an adult and they can think for themselves, I am not going to tell them they absolutely have no right to eat stuff off the sidewalk. They do have a right. They have a God-given right to eat stuff off the sidewalk if they so choose. And I have no right to tell them that they can't.
What has rights got to do with the shape of the earth? I'm not understanding your point.
Because the argument seems to be from the people who are trying to push or show the ball or curve, their argument seems to be this particular point, well, that's not up for debate. This particular point, well, that's not up for debate. This particular point is based on this guy's research back here, so we don't even have to talk about that. And what I'm saying is, if you want to convince me, then meeting your standard isn't good enough. You've already convinced yourself, so if you're fine with that, I'm fine with that, and you can leave. If you're going to try and convince me, then you have to meet my standard, which is 5 senses.
Okay. Yeah, but your standard was to tell your child, don't eat that dog shit, right? As they grow to an adult, you can't tell them, don't eat that dog shit. That's fine. But as an adult, you can choose to reject the information that you've had, but you will suffer the consequences.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so how does that prove the shape of the earth? You were right in the first place, as they were a child. They can choose to believe you or not as an adult, whichever. That doesn't matter, but they will suffer the consequences.
It doesn't prove the shape of the earth, and I already established that. I'm not trying to prove the shape of the earth. All I'm trying to do is say the evidence right now isn't good enough to say that it's a ball, so it's not a ball. My eyes don't show a ball, so it's not a ball. If you can provide overwhelming evidence that it is, I'm fine with that. But until then,
about 1 million pictures from space isn't good enough evidence.
That's not verifiable, credible, and repeatable. I can show you 1 million pictures on the internet of Mickey Mouse. Does that make Mickey Mouse real?
Yes, of course Mickey Mouse is real.
No, Mickey Mouse is not real. He is not reality. He is imaginary. He is fake. He is not truth.
What? Mickey Mouse doesn't exist. Although you can say the words
I didn't
Mickey
say
Mouse,
he doesn't exist. I said he's not real. I didn't say he doesn't exist. I said he's
He
not
doesn't have a-
reality. He's not truth.
Oh, Mickey Mouse is
Nope.
absolutely real.
No
Absolutely.
physical structure. Mickey Mouse, you cannot touch Mickey Mouse. He doesn't occupy space in reality. He
Exactly.
is an idea. He's an idea in your mind. When I say
He's a
Mickey Mouse, you
concept.
go, "Oh yeah." He's not. He doesn't have space. This is why that distinction of physical versus non-physical, supernatural versus natural has to be distinguished. If you're going to say Mickey Mouse is real, I need 3 dimensionals: height, width, and breadth. Breadth, depth, width. Mickey Mouse.
I guess you've never been to Disneyland then, no? Because you can go and touch Mickey Mouse if you want.
I know that there's a costume. I don't deny that there's a
The
costume.
guy in a Mickey Mouse suit, yeah. So
Mickey Mouse
is real.
suit, it does exist, but that's different than Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse conceptually is a person, a thinking, actual feeling person that is inside the body of a mouse. That's what Mickey Mouse is. It's a concept, an idea, a thought, a pretend imaginary thing. It is not truth and it is not reality. When you go to Disneyland, you don't meet Mickey Mouse. You meet a human being inside of a Mickey Mouse suit. And I do not deny that the suit exists. So if that's your claim, I agree. It does exist.
But your argument was about reality and non-reality.
That's
if
right.
you can experience Mickey Mouse in reality, Mickey Mouse
You
is
can't.
reality.
It's impossible
Of
to
course you can
experience
experience.
Mickey Mouse in reality because he's not real. You can experience a man in a suit pretending to be Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, but
Just
reality
like you can
exists everywhere.
experience Iron Man by going to the theater. You can experience a man in front of a green screen pretending to be Iron Man. You cannot experience Iron Man himself because he's not real.
I can't hear whoever you're talking to. Is
Gently.
everyone else hearing? Yeah, I can't hear him. Is everyone else hearing him okay?
Yeah, I hear both sides.
I hear him fine, yeah.
Okay. Okay, something wrong with me then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
try
just
log
drop,
out.
drop and come back. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll drop
restart
and
the
come
go.
back.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is more subjective,
Something being
objective
thought about
reality.
automatically makes it reality, and that's not how it works. Reality
No,
isn't
no, no.
based on what we think.
I'm referring to more subjective and objective reality.
Right.
Subjective reality is that which you've made up
How
in your mind.
we
But
live our lives.
objective reality is something you've experienced. So I can turn the TV on and experience, you know, it's on the TV.
Right.
So that means
And
that-
objectively, you have literally never met Mickey Mouse. You haven't.
my argument wasn't that I've met him.
Objectively, Mickey Mouse does not exist in reality. He exists in your mind.
Yeah, what if
Pretend.
I told you, what if I was like, yo, Mickey Mouse? Bro, it's just a guy in a suit. It's not even real. What would you tell me?
Yeah, that would be fine, but Mickey Mouse would still exist if I still experienced it.
Where?
Right, and
Where
I
did you...
don't deny that. I don't deny that he exists. Okay, everything that you can possibly think of exists somewhere because you can think of it. So it has to exist at least in your mind, and I'm not denying his existence. I'm denying that he is in reality. He's not in reality. He is imaginary. He is outside of reality.
Yes, but everything you experience exists. An experience is real.
No, that's not true.
An experience isn't real.
No, I play video games
No,
just
the
about every single day,
experience is
and none
real.
of it's real. An experience is not real. That's actually part of the problem. Is that that's how people are so easily tricked into thinking things like we went to the moon. They think an experience that they saw on their TV is real, and it's not.
Okay, guys, that's enough for tonight. I think I'm going to do an after show. I'm going to leave it recording. Hopefully, these guys are going to continue talking a little bit more, and we'll get to play some tomorrow. I might play it during the afternoon. Who knows? But yeah, thanks everybody for supporting the show. Thanks all the people that stopped by to have a listen. Hope you enjoyed the new panelist, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you plenty of times next week as well. As for today, that'll do for today, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.